Hello. Hi, everyone. You should be able to hear me now. At least I hope so. Can you guys hear me? You're still waiting for that dang old Minecraft server to come back? Don't worry, soon. I promise you I'll get mine up before Destiny gets his up. So what's going on, guys? How is everyone? There's something here I gotta check real quick before we get going. Of course there'll be a Game Boomer stream tonight. Why not? I have, However, I've been working on the Game Boomer setup quite a bit. Welcome to the Lazy Tuesday stream. Wait, Annie, we got that AC going. What do you mean AC going? What are you talking about, Titanium? So, one of the reasons I heard there was a shooting, but I don't know the information on it. I haven't looked into it. Maybe I should. Maybe I should, you know? Damn. But, let me see here. One reason that I'm streaming right now is because one of the only, they're very rare, one of the only polite leftists that I've encountered on Twitter wants to talk. And I said, you know what? Maybe I will. Maybe I'll talk to him. So that's the primary reason that I'm doing this, is that I'm going to call him up in a couple minutes and talk to him. But let me adjust some things first. Let me just adjust some things. Ambulance chasing? No. I do the opposite of ambulance chasing. I report on things when they're way too old. I don't know if you've noticed. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the shooting. Apparently there was a shooting. I don't mind looking into it and doing a video on it, but I don't have anything to say right now because I don't know what happened. You can hear the AC. Oh no. Destiny? No. Destiny's not really a leftist. Destiny's a liberal. He's a left-leaning liberal, but he's not like a socialist or anything. And honestly, I don't mind Destiny. Hmm. Did I ever download this? Hold on. How did you guys like yesterday's Bodega Bro video? That was a fun little video to do, you know? The weekly sip for July 3rd. Yes, I did. Okay. It was in Illinois. Shit. Okay, so it's probably a fan. It's probably the fan then. Here, maybe I'll put a filter. Give me a second. Can I filter? Here, let me. You can't hear it now, can you? Yeah. Oh, you can't super chat. What? No, super chats aren't broken, aren't they? Super sticker, super chat. Oh, $5 from Jew. Thank you. When we're gonna be fully V'd, just up to date. Gotta love our government. Oh yeah, regarding vaccinations. Yeah. Okay. All right. Here, there's a fellow. So there are a number of things that I'll talk about after the discussion, but there's a fellow named um there's a fellow named what's his name, Shady Lightning, who wanted to talk. So I'll give him a call. A little canned. Oh, maybe I can reduce the power of the filter. There. How's that? Am I still canned? Okay. I'm gonna call this fella. Wait. Let me make sure that my headphones are working first. That sounds like they're working. Okay. All right. Here we go, guys. This is actually not anybody who is an online guy at all. You're just somebody who wanted to talk. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll talk to whoever. Why not? Okay. I'm calling him.
Okay, how is my audio?
You're pretty good. Let me just turn you down on my end.
Yep, I'm gonna turn you up.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds about right. So what's up, man?
Hey.
You are Shady Lightning. Where did that name come from?
Oh, that's just my Discord name. That's actually the name I use on PlayStation. I came up with Shady Lightning because I was like, okay, what's the opposite of lightning? So I was like, I can't think of a direct word. So I was like, shady. I was like, yeah, that's pretty hot. So I went
Hmm.
with that.
Yeah, I noticed you have like a YouTube channel. It just seems to be like a personal YouTube channel where you just like post a few like video game clips from back in the day. That
Oh
was also
God, that
called
was a
Shady
while.
Lightning.
That was a while ago. I mainly just use it for music. I used to play Destiny pretty religiously. I kind of
Hmm.
stopped that, to be honest. They made some changes I disagreed with, so I was like, nope. But yeah. By the way, how should I refer to you? Because I don't actually know your name.
Dev
Like I know
is my
your
name.
YouTube. Dev. Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
and hold on. Your name is Jeff, right?
Yeah.
But
The
it's okay. I never understood why Geoff is pronounced Jeff. It looks like it would be pronounced Geoff.
Yeah, it does. So from my understanding, I think in most European countries, that's actually how they spell it. It's like with the G. If you look in movie credits, normally you won't see Jeff with a J. You'll see Jeff with a G. I have no idea why that is, but you know, we beat the Euro Cucks anyways. So
All right.
my dad, my honestly, I think there was some race car driver that was named Jeff with a G, and my dad thought that was cool, and I guess he passed or something.
Mm.
To be perfectly honest, I couldn't tell you.
He's quiet and I'm loud. Okay, let me turn him up a little bit.
Oh shit. Okay.
You know, I can adjust. I have you down. I have you turned down pretty low because your bass volume is much louder than mine. I probably turned
Uh,
down too much.
Yeah, I haven't really messed with my audio in a while. Like I said this in DMs, I think. I
Yeah,
only really use Discord to speak to a couple friends because normally if I'm playing PlayStation, I'm just gonna, you know, talk over the PlayStation party chat.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're a Zoomer, right?
Yeah, I'm 24 years old.
Okay, so you got to explain this to me. Why
Mm-hmm.
why is it that so many people of your I'm a millennial. So many people of
Yeah.
your generation uses phones more than computers
I
for
can't
like
speak
your
for my whole generation. I could tell you why I don't, because my
Okay.
laptop sucks. That's
Oh,
why.
okay.
The fan, I originally took it apart and I busted part of the case when I did it because I'm an idiot. But I had to use compressed air to blow out the fans. I thought the dust was the
Mhm.
problem, but there's like a trillion other problems with it. So
Mm.
instead of spending money like a regular Zoomer, or rather because I'm a Zoomer, I just use my phone.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something in the air or something. I don't know.
Yeah, see, I mean, I am old enough to remember like the dial-up internet days of like the late 90s. And so
Mm-hmm.
my internet experience was always focused through a computer.
I
And
didn't really have internet access until I was 10 years old, I think, or so.
that would have been in the middle of the 2000s, right, for you? Somewhere
So
around
I
there?
was born in '98.
Okay,
So
so 2008.
Yeah, it
Right.
might have been a year or two before that. See, I'm trying to remember. I don't think I used YouTube during the first year it came out. I think I used it like the second year after YouTube was a thing. I started using that.
Okay, so that would have been
Yeah,
2007.
that's probably about right. Again, I'm just giving you like an approximate because I have absolutely
Yeah.
no idea.
No, I've
Yeah.
just noticed like the trend now seems to be moving away from computers and towards phones. And I get it because phones are very
Mhm.
convenient. But even now, phones can't do some of the in-depth things that computers can do.
Oh, for sure. Hey, real quick, not to pivot already, but
Yeah.
how old are you?
I'm in my 30s.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so while you were a kid, you were probably playing the Wii. I was playing the N64.
When I was a kid, so I think my first video game ever, and I know it was my first Pokemon game. I was 5 years old. My stepsister gave me Pokemon Crystal,
Hmm.
and my brother
Gee,
and I
that's an
took
old one.
turns on it. Yeah, we took turns on it, and we were very bad at it.
I assume it was like a
Um,
used copy. But no, that game came out in 2000. I didn't know it was that late.
Pokemon Crystal, it was either 99 or 2000. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I must have gotten it the year that Ruby and Sapphire came out, if I recall, because I remember getting Sapphire version maybe 6 months afterwards and being like, "Oh my god, these graphics are insane."
On the Game Boy Advance.
That's hilarious to think about, but it's true.
Yeah, so for me, when I was first heading into university, I was picking up a Wii, and Obama was the president.
Mm.
So
I
that's
remember when I was younger, I used to be pretty staunch conservative, at least in
mhm.
most ways. And I was like terrified whenever Obama won that like I can't remember why I thought this, but we weren't gonna have summers off for school. I think it's
um.
something my neighbors told me.
Okay, so I recall hearing about the right back in the day, fear mongering about
Mm.
Obama's death camps because of and they could at least twist that out of a universal healthcare plan. Like even though their logic was wrong, I could see the logic. I don't know where the logic even exists for Obama's going to take away summer vacation.
I mean, it's kind of like just those playground rumor type things, right? Like you'd be like, oh, well, in this video game, I got this, and now that we have the internet, we know it's bullshit. You can't really pull that anymore. But back then, it was like, oh god, yeah, because you heard it from your friend, and your friend will never lie, right? So
Well, to be fair though, I had the internet back then. Like it's not like 2008 where it was an era of the Luddites. Like the internet
well,
was basically the same. It's just that it was less centralized.
sure, sure, but I think part of the problem is now people can like data mine and shit like that, and there's way bigger databases for information on any given game. There's tons of YouTube videos and stuff. They had a little bit of that, but man, I'm thinking back to Pokemon in the old days of Cerebi. Like that website
Hmm.
was like a game changer. I used to study Cerebi.net to learn like everything Pokemon related, and
Is it still
now,
around?
oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
It is still around, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now I recall using this website too whenever I needed to. Yeah. But
Yeah,
no, like
I'm
the
glad
internet.
glad to see we're both Pokemon fans. That's pretty important.
Yes, I actually like Pokemon quite a bit. I don't like any of the new games. I think the last game that I really liked was probably Black and White 2. Everything after that's
Um,
been kind of shit.
there's good and bad. I think part of the problem is they're really easy now. Like they've just
Oh
made them
fuck yeah,
easier. The last
Jesus.
ones I played was well, I played Sun and then I played Ultra Moon. And
Hmm.
sometimes I shiny hunt on those, which is pretty fun. What I'll do is I'll like listen to YouTube videos. Although recently, I don't know if this will vibe well with your audience, but I'm a bit of a Pokemon Go player, which has that game's not the best game ever, I must say, but I'm a level 50. What I do, I've actually met tons of like awesome people. The funny thing is like my community locally is almost all older than me.
Well, did you Pokemon go to the polls then?
Uh yeah.
Wait, do you
Not
remember
for
that? Are you
Hillary.
too young to remember what that was?
No, I remember that. That was a Hillary Clinton thing.
Yeah, that was a Hillary Clinton thing.
Yeah, that was fucking hilarious. Honestly, it kind of slaps. Like unironic. Like back then, it was cringe, but I think it's kind of like some of those old like my Gerd memes or the cringy
Yeah,
shit. Like for a while, it was like it was cool, and then it became not cool, but then it became cool again. Except it
yeah,
never
lots of
started
things
out
like that.
cool this time. Yeah.
So for the longest time, I didn't play Pokemon Go because I don't really care about phones, so I've been using a phone from 2010 this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it still works. Like, why replace it? I don't need to spend any more money. I have a really nice computer, so I don't really care. Like, as long as I can text while I'm out, that's all I need it for, right? But
Mm-hmm.
my phone couldn't run Pokemon Go. But I finally got a new
Man,
phone. Um, I actually got a Fair phone, which are actually you can't get them in North America, but they're really nice phones.
I'm sorry. What was that? A fair phone?
Yeah, Fair phone. So
I
the
actually, whenever you said that, my mind went to the Freedom Phone thing that a bunch of people were shilling. I was like, oh my
okay, so
god.
so the Fair phone is what the Freedom phone should have been. So the Freedom phone was marketed as this kind of escaping the big tech plantation kind of thing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to
Except it's
harvest your
just a
data.
it's just like a Chinese knockoff. It's just like the Soldier Boy game console of phones.
Yeah, pretty much. So the Fairphone is actually like that. It's what that should
Mm.
have been. It comes with like no tracking software on it at all, for real. It's very lightweight, and also all of its parts are replaceable. So you can open it up, and printed on the part is an instruction of how to disassemble it and then put in a new one. And you can buy the parts from the company. So they're very much like a right to repair company, which I
You don't
find
have to
really
like
appealing.
jailbreak this phone or anything, do you?
No, it comes with it. Yeah.
Okay, okay. That's kind of what you made it sound like. I just wasn't sure.
Yep. So, but like the interesting part is that every physical piece of it can be purchased from the store, and they provide instructions of how to repair it yourself. So there's none of this like dealing with Apple's fucking warranty where you got to go to like a specialized Apple store to have them repair it, and then they fuck you. Like,
Oh god. I had a screen replacement for my it's a really long story. I was on a vacation to see one of my friends who I call them my vibe checker. After we had that initial DM convo, I sent them I think it was like 64 screenshots worth of text. And I sent it to them, and they started on a document explaining like all the things I did well and all the things I did poorly,
wait,
basically.
an hour DM conversation?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I got to be honest,
That
I don't fully remember it because I have a lot of them. No
so
offense.
we spoke about three things primarily that I can recall. There was a short little bit about transports, which,
Hmm.
to be fair, was a topic that kind of bores me. If I'm being perfectly honest, I know we spoke. I brought it up like, oh well, it's become like a political issue, but you seem to not really want to discuss that in particular, which is fine. Actually,
Before we
I
get
kind of
into any of
prefer that.
this, before we get into any of
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
you
yeah.
should probably
Sorry.
point out that you are politically a.
I'd say pretty progressive, pretty left leaning,
Mhm.
compared to most Americans.
Yeah.
You could call me a socialist. I think that's fair.
Okay, so when people say socialist,
Hmm.
they sometimes mean, we want an expansive welfare state socialist, or sometimes they mean we want to completely abolish the commodity form and do away with money
So
socialist. So which
part of
one
the
are you?
problem is part of the problem is kind of both. So the issue is I do think it's something we should strive for in the long term. The issue is I don't expect to see it in my lifetime. I don't really push for any socialist policies necessarily. In the same way that I don't really think Bernie Sanders does either. It's pretty like standard social democratic stuff for the most part.
Hmm.
That's kind of what I want to see right now. Like to the left of like your, Joe Biden's or Pete Buttigieg or whatever.
Well, I mean, there's the classical trap though, is that a lot of people who were diehard socialists, they eventually claimed that social democracy would impede socialism because it would alleviate the working class's material conditions without the necessity of a revolution.
I think if the if the material conditions were such that people didn't really feel compelled to push for something more, then perhaps it wouldn't be necessary at that point. I think it always will be though. I think it is a natural conclusion.
Why?
Um that's a good question. I If you look at like the countries right now, I guess you could consider social democratic. I think they still do have a lot of issues. They have a lot of things better than us, like stronger social safety nets, higher like income mobility and whatnot. But they certainly still have their issues. I mean, I
Well,
I guess we'd have to see how it goes.
I,
America's also kind of a oh sorry, God.
I guess the question though would be, why would a push towards actual socialism alleviate those issues?
Depends on the issue you're. Could you give me like a specific, and I could address it?
I don't know. I mean, you said that there were certain social democratic countries that still have their issues. What did you mean by that?
Oh, okay. So we could talk about the means of production, right? And people's alienation from them. I think that still exists in social democratic countries.
Okay.
So whenever you have a say in what happens in your company and stuff, I think that's just a net good. There's still issue like workplaces aren't perfect in fucking Sweden or whatever.
I mean, that's true, but you can
Hmm.
have worker co-ops within a capitalist system, though. So
I
like,
agree.
I'm talking about what's beyond that. I'm talking about the actual abolition of the commodity form.
I think there's a level of coercion that takes place even in some of the, quote unquote better companies and whatnot. And I just think it's like a more moral way to go about structuring our economic system.
Um, how would you do it otherwise though? Because there's always going to be some shitty jobs that you have to entice people to do.
Hmm. Yeah, you could probably have special government incentives. Like, are you talking like I don't know, just plumbing or some, like working with like sewage or something's not very desirable. Although I do
Yes,
think some people
I've
still
done it,
for
so it's not.
whatever. Oh, you have? Oh, that
Yes,
sounds fucking awful,
I
dude.
have done a lot of the working with your hands, lowly working class jobs. I've picked
Hmm.
up garbage. I've worked public works. I've done all that sort of stuff. Um,
Yeah. Hmm.
and I can let you know it doesn't matter how much people like it if they're not getting paid well, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, that's true. Um, I guess what you'd look for is just like special government incentives to do that. I don't think that's incompatible with socialism, certainly.
Well, if we're talking about though the abolishment of money, what would the incentive be?
So the abolition of money is, unfortunately, this is a little beyond my pay grade of being able to work it out. When I talk about
Okay.
socialism, I mainly mean like a push towards market socialism. Now, you would go beyond that eventually into, you don't have like a full communist society until you were to fully abolish like the commodity form and whatnot. But I just feel like that's so far away that it's kind of hard for me to push for that right now. There's
Oh no,
people
I
far more
understand that.
capable of
Like,
making that argument. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying like you have to give me your entire plan, right? Like, I'm just saying that. I'm just saying like, why
Yeah.
do you
Yeah.
think that this is good to abolish the
Um,
commodity form and to live in a communist society? What makes that the good thing to do?
I just think it's more moral. I mean, we talked a bit about the the coconut analogy, which
Yes, Vosh's
I'm sure
Coconuts Island. Yeah,
I
Vosh's
I
Coconut Island. Yeah.
I honest to God, I love that so much. It's such a good analogy. I think some people misinterpreted it though. It's just about um the essence of coercion, right? You either do this or this happens. You could lessen that in a social democratic society for certain, but you can lessen it a lot more in a socialist society. The level of coercion. If you have partial ownership of the company that you work at, that's way more democratic. You have way more of a say in what happens. I think that's a net good.
I mean, sure, but do you think that democracy is an a priori good?
Yeah, I think I think democracy is pretty important. I mean,
Okay,
because you have
well,
you
I guess
yeah.
to be more specific, do you think that
Mhm.
democracy is good in all situations? Like just more democracy equals more good, and it's very simple like that.
In many scenarios, if you could give me some specifics where I'd probably say no.
Yeah, I mean, like very clearly, who you have sex with shouldn't be up for democratic debate. It's between you and your
I
partner.
disagree. I disagree. No,
Wait, really?
no, I'm fucking with
You
you.
want you want this is like some Brave New World shit where they're like everyone owns everyone else's bodies and they're
Man,
all like having sex with each other.
I've been on Twitter. I've seen every single take.
Mm. Oh, dude, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, yeah. It's like that meme. It's like, isn't there someone you forgot to ask?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just lurking in the distance.
Yeah, like there are clearly some areas of life where is inappropriate. Democracy is inappropriate. You know, like your personal
Yeah.
life shouldn't be up for democratic vote. You know,
Yeah,
um.
yeah.
So
I think
I
your workplace, though, you're spending, at least currently, a lot of people do about, let's just say 8 hours a day for 5 days a week, right? 40-hour work week. That's a long portion of your week that you're spending with really no say. I don't know.
depends on the workplace because even
Oh,
in
sure.
non market socialist type work like non worker co-ops, there's still going to
Hmm.
be instances where if your business is properly functioning, people who are higher up will defer to the expertise of those beneath them because they know more, and they're incentivized not to completely destroy their company with their own idiocy. So they'll be like, "Yeah, listen, you
Yeah.
know, I'm sitting in my office doing this kind of work. You're on the floor of the factory doing this kind of work. You might know more about this personally than me. So what do you think we should do?" And I've been in a lot of workplaces where that definitely happens.
Okay, I think part of how you get expertise though is you have to start getting like the better positions, right? Like the
Depends what you mean.
managerial positions and whatnot. Well, I guess my issue is a lot of people never have the ability to even get those positions in the first place. I guess.
Okay.
I I guess I'm trying to be coherent. To be fair, I didn't fully prep for this particular conversation.
Don't. Neither did I.
Um,
Neither did
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I.
yeah. Um, I don't really see like America, and you might agree or might disagree somewhat, is like a meritocracy. I think
It
the
has some
ability to.
meritocratic elements, but not fully. No.
Okay, I'm glad we agree with that then.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
yeah,
have you heard of the iron law of oligarchy?
I have absolutely no idea what that means.
Okay, that's a political philosophy term that comes out of the more reactionary side of
Mhm.
politics, and they seem to be correct on this. Where basically they say that all systems eventually turn into oligarchies because basically even if you wield power in a good faith way and your system is non-corrupt, you can use that power rather than to do your job instead to maintain your position. So all systems, whether they're monarchies or whether they're
Checks
democracies,
and balances are super important.
sure,
Yeah,
but basically everything eventually becomes an oligarchy, and you need like a continuous renewal of the system in order to prevent that. It's something like that.
I'm not sure I necessarily buy into that. That that seems a little doomer, I guess.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing
Yeah,
though. You just said that America is not a meritocracy, right? I mean,
yeah, yeah.
most leftists. I don't want to put words in your mouth. So if you disagree, it's fine. But most leftists that I talk to, they say that they believe that America is oligarchical.
I guess it depends on in what way you're referring. Like
Well,
like
well, let's say business
you'd
in
have
terms
to.
of business.
Okay.
Yeah, like big business, like banks and Jeff Bezos, the Jeff Bezoses of the world. America seems to be an oligarchical system. At least that's what I've heard, and so that seems to line up with the iron law of oligarchy. Because at America's founding, it was much more decentralized. There was more like small landowners, there was more small businesses, and now it's become just mega corporations.
I mean, progress is there. I don't believe in like the end of history. Progress is something that can always happen and can always be reversed. So whenever you say that things eventually become an oligarchy, I mean, I don't know. That's something I'd have to think about, I guess.
Hmm.
But
No,
I
fair
think
enough.
if something was to become an oligarchy, though, I mean, I would definitely advocate to reverse that.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm not saying
Mhm,
that you wouldn't. It's just that it seems like
mhm,
institutions trend towards power centralization. And so you need to continuously break up that power, whether that be government power or corporate power or whatever it is that we're talking about. That
mhm.
seems to be the case. And I mean, we've seen government grow bigger over time. We've seen corporations grow more powerful over time. We've
Oh,
seen a
for
lot.
sure.
We've seen a lot of these groups grow more powerful over time. So
I
it
mean,
seems to
that's
be the
that's
case that
that's
this
the
is what's going
incentive
on.
structure that we're working with right now, right? What else would a corporation want to do other than just make money?
Well, yeah, but
I don't really see at least in our current system the purpose for anything else. Like sometimes people say like a corporation has a certain ideology. I don't really believe that though. Corporations just kind of do what's going to make them money.
well, they do what they think's going to make them money, which sometimes isn't what
Yes,
actually makes them money. But yeah,
I
I know
yeah
I know
oh
what you
yeah.
mean. Yeah.
The whole Morbius thing comes to mind. The
It's Morbin time, guys.
What's funny though is like I feel like um different production companies are going to be really confused because it seems to be the opposite with the Minion movie or the new Rise of Gru or whatever, where a
Wasn't there
bunch of
that
like
video? There's like a video of like all the boys rolling up in like really
yeah, and
nice
the
looking suits.
suits.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
they're going
guess
to
they
the
were having
fucking
some
Minion
issues.
movie.
I guess there were some issues that movie theaters were having though with people dressing up and throwing bananas at people or something like that. I was reading on Twitter. You know what's funny? Whenever the Joker movie came out, I
Hmm.
remember my friends and I we thought it'd be fun to like spray. We had like this hairspray stuff, and we put on like lipstick and shit because it's funny, and I don't really care about being super masculine or whatever. And we showed up, and they had a little sign like you're not allowed to dress up as the Joker because I guess they thought maybe people were going to try and fulfill their fantasies or whatever,
Well, do you
which never
recall
happened.
that one shooting that happened like 10 years ago? A guy was dressed
That
up as a Joker, and he was in a movie theater.
that was at a Batman movie though, not a Joker movie. Well, I guess
Yeah, it's
yeah.
it's it's the same fucking thing, man. That's like the
Yeah,
same. That's the same lore.
I know. I think the fear was like the Joker movie was going to like idealize, who he is, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, which it really didn't. If you
No, it
watch the
didn't.
movie,
He
it was
he was a
very
tragic character. Yeah.
yeah, it was very tragic. What's funny though is there wasn't a single instance of that, but there was a fucking machete brawl at the Frozen 2 premiere.
Why?
I don't know. It
Oh
had
wait,
something to do with gang violence.
wait. Was it in
You
the
know,
UK?
honest to God, that was a while ago. I think that
Hold on.
was 20. Oh God, no, I'm gonna mess up if I try and guess.
Let me just look it up.
I swear
Machete
to God, I
Frozen
swear to
2.
God, I swear to
Yes.
God,
Hold on.
Chris.
It was
Oh,
in the UK, and I'm not surprised
okay.
because of the problems they're having. So
Yeah.
okay.
That I mean, it's obviously like I don't want anyone to die in a machete brawl, but at the same time, how can you not laugh at that, right? Everyone's
Yeah,
scared of
yeah.
the Joker, and it's a red herring for the fucking Frozen premiere.
Well, here's the thing. Like I like me some dark humor. You know, when I see the woman
Oh,
holding up the
sure.
sign that says "fetus equals good snack," I'll laugh at that, and then I'll make like, and all the people who follow me who are like right leaning, they'll get angry at me. Like, how could you laugh? It's like, no, it's pretty funny. But at the same time, when I see like, you know, images of like Clarence Thomas descending from the heavens to smite Joe Biden, it's like, I used to be named Corn Pop Biden, and I'm here to take my revenge. Like, I'll laugh at that, and then people who are on the left, they're like, how could you joke about this? And it's like, well, you can joke about anything, you know, like anything can be a joke in the end.
I think you can joke about anything. I think it just depends on how you do it.
Yeah, I agree. It has to be a funny joke, but you can joke about
Like
anything.
there are rape jokes where people just be like, haha, I raped them, and that's the joke. It's like, wow, dude, that's hilarious. You're really breaking new ground there. I also
uh,
do think sometimes comedy can be like a guise for more sinister like political perspectives and stuff. Like
uh,
it's not real humor. It's just like a excuse, I guess.
so this is the Dankula versus Vosh situation, eh? That shit show.
I did watch that video back then. I've watched a lot of Vosh content. To be honest, I remember. Oh
That's
God,
a
I'm
bit. That's a
gonna.
big oof.
I'm
I've watched. To
sorry.
be fair,
I have
I've
this
watched a lot of
issue
Vosh
to
too. I've
where
watched a lot of Vosh too.
I'll start talking about one thing and then I'll talk about and then I just get completely lost. So
Oh,
if
don't
I ever
worry.
do that,
It's
yeah,
happening right now. We were talking about socialism 10 minutes ago.
I've always had that issue, and especially because I was really quiet until I was 16, and ever since I turned 16, I started talking more, and I just I can't stop. I'll talk about something and I'll just forget what I was just talking. Like I can't even remember what we were talking about 10 seconds ago. So,
Right. Well, in
do
terms
you
of,
want to get us back on track here?
well, we can talk about the comedy for a second. One thing I've noticed, because you're referencing basically dog whistles, right? Where it's like,
Yes. Yeah.
I'm gonna make a misogynist joke, and then there's people who are like, yeah, I actually do hate women. And it's like, haha, it's funny, right? And it's like, yeah, no. It's like, well, you mean that we're joking, right? It's like, no, I actually hate them. You know, like I know what you're saying, but the way that I deal with dog whistling is that I just lean in um to the more reasonable position and make them be explicit. So,
Mhm.
man, what's like I can't even think of an example right now. But like basically when someone tries to Mott and Bailey you, you can just accept and be like, yeah, okay, that more reasonable position. Yeah, that's true. So then they either have to be more explicit or give up the line of
Well, a lot
argumentation.
of times they'll treat that as a concession from you, though, right?
That's fine
Because
though.
they're retreating to a more defensible position. You're like, oh, well, I agree with that. They're like, oh, so you do agree with me? And it's like, nah, that wasn't what you originally said. Yeah.
um, I
I
see.
guess the other thing
I
with
don't.
humor, though, is sometimes I think sometimes people don't actually realize. Like you mentioned dog whistling, but I think there's
Mhm,
something even more subtle. Sometimes people, let's say that you joke about all types of stuff. You joke about black people, you joke about white people, whatever. But
mhm.
like 90% of your jokes are about black people and like 10% are about white people. I think even if you don't realize it, I think that does kind of say something about you.
Um, it might
Like
simply
into
say,
you might not realize it, but you might have some underlying bias against black people. Even if you like some black people or whatever. I feel like there might be some bias in your heads there.
well, here's the thing. I
Hmm.
don't really care too much about thought policing people as long as they're not treating them poorly. It doesn't matter.
Well, sure, but I think you can address it though, right? You're free to make
Why?
those jokes and whatnot, but
Yeah,
I'm
like
sorry.
what? I said why?
I mean, if you start to address people's underlying bias, I think sometimes that can have pretty good results. I guess it just depends on
Well,
how you do it. I don't think calling people out over every single joke really helps.
here, let me put
I've
it this way.
never
Let me
seen
put it
someone
this way.
change positions like that. Yeah, go
Oh
ahead.
yeah, you can't. I think 2016 proved you can't shame people out of their positions. They will just do what they want privately. So you can call people deplorables for 2 years. They're still in the privacy of the voting booth. They're still voting Trump. So like
So
2016 proved that.
I
Um,
so I became a lefty
no,
probably
hold on.
20. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Go
yeah, yeah.
ahead. Go
Let
ahead.
me
Sorry.
keep you on track here because we
Yeah,
have
yeah,
jumped
you're
over a
good.
few
You're good.
things.
You're
Um,
good.
so when it comes to bias, let's just say hypothetically, you inside your head you're a massive racist, but you never actually treat anyone poorly. What does it matter what you think?
Um, I think there might be some more subtle ways in which you do treat people poorly. Look at the George Floyd thing, right? A lot of people really do think they were being consistent, like, oh, if he wasn't like this or that, then I would defend him. But I feel like people really just kind of looked for an excuse. Like they'd see something and be like, ah, see, look, they like internally were looking for a reason to defend the police, but they didn't realize that, I guess.
I'm not sure I agree with that
Okay.
because one of the main things is on the night one of the early nights of the George Floyd's riots, there was a black security guard in front of a pawn shop who was killed, and the right rallied around that guy. So I think it really was. I think part of the George Floyd situation really did stem from his prior behavior up
I
to
think
the actual event with the police, because when it's like, let's say an upstanding conservative black man, the right doesn't really go after those kind of guys anymore. They used to,
um
but not anymore.
two quick things to address there. You said like a black security guard.
I
I
think it was
do
a black
think they
security guard. I
give
think
more.
so.
Yeah, they give more leeway though to those types of people. Like black cops, they're going to give more leeway to than just like a black citizen. Because for sure, the right kind of does worship police a little bit.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um. Oh God. And the other thing you mentioned. Oh shit. I
Oh,
genuinely I forgot.
George Floyd's conduct before the
Yeah. Yeah.
arrest.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just very largely irrelevant. Well, it depends on
I
the
don't know.
conduct during the arrest or before the arrest. Because before the arrest, like we're talking like years before or even a few weeks before, completely irrelevant.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so
I
too.
don't care. Yeah, I wanted to give you credit real quick for something. I
Sure.
actually saw because I know I criticized one of your thumbnails before. I saw a thumbnail about the George Floyd situation.
Hmm.
I think the thumbnail alone showed some nuance. Like it doesn't matter. I think you said something like it doesn't matter in the
Yeah, I know what you're
I
talking about.
actually
Yeah.
really do appreciate that. It's one reason I never did call. I don't think I ever referred to you as like a fascist or anything like that because I don't think that's you.
Vosh has.
Listen,
But
I like Vosh a lot. I wanted to say earlier, Vosh is a large portion of why I moved over. I don't have to. I don't think I have to agree with him on literally everything though.
I don't know.
I
I
do. I
find
do.
that Vosh has become more unhinged as his popularity's gotten to him. I mean, he was crazy a few years ago. He seems to be fucking insane right now.
Mm,
I'm
I
I do not buy there's a
I
trans genocide right now. Like I'm not gonna. No, this is nuts. This is insanity.
depends on how you define genocide, right? Is it only a genocide once the camps are built?
Um,
I think genocide can
Possibly, yeah.
begin before that. Really?
Okay, but here's the thing.
That okay?
He
What's
said
the
5 stages of
utility?
genocide, right? He said 5 stages. No, he said 10 stages of genocide. We're on stage 5. I remember that quote specifically. Okay, I look up the stages, and like
Mhm.
during the height of the Team Edward versus Team Jacob Twilight thing, we were on around stage 4 to stage 5 of a genocide of Twilight fans, based on that definition, which is why I think
If
it's a
you're,
ridiculous
I actually,
definition.
I'm very confused right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, okay. Here, hold on. Let me just pull this up then.
Yeah,
Let me pull this up real quick.
I'm,
Okay. Stages of genocide.
I haven't thought about Twilight in years. Oh my god. When I was
Okay.
younger, I wanted to try and get into the Twilight movies because a bunch of people were talking about it, but I think it's just because the girls were talking about it when I was in
You
middle
just wanted to get
school.
laid? Okay,
Listen,
hold on.
listen, middle school Jeff did not have much success with women,
Don't
or
worry,
I
neither
guess
did I.
girls. Yeah.
Okay, so stage 1 is classification. This
Okay.
stage is defined by separating groups of people by categories. So that's like literally everyone everywhere all the time.
Yeah. That's
Um,
very basic stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Stage 2 is symbolization. This is when basically othered groups wear symbols to distinguish them as members of other groups. So even then, like if you're an AC/DC fan and you wear your AC/DC shirt, that's a symbol. So like that, this is also kind of wacky.
Yeah.
Um, Stage 3 is discrimination. So this is where discrimination happens. And
Mhm.
between uh, Team Edward and Team Jacob fans, they discriminate against each other all the time. That was a rabid fan base. They were attacking each other. They were getting into fights. Like that was it's classified. All right. Stage 4 is dehumanization. In this stage, they're treated as second-class citizens. The other group. So, I mean,
Okay,
like
if you're trying to bring that one back to Twilight, I think that's a pretty heavy stretch right there.
I don't know about that, man. Like I've seen. Okay,
Yeah.
have you seen how crazy fandoms get sometimes?
No, I have no idea. I've never seen in my life. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
obviously. Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Okay, so stage 5 is organization. During this stage, plans for genocidal killings are made, and armies or militias are armed and trained. So,
So when I think of that, the first thing that comes to mind, MTG recently had a tweet, and I can't remember what it was, but it was essentially just a call to action. Actually, could you give me 1 sec? I think I can pull up the tweet real quick.
sure. What's MTG? Magic the Gathering?
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, like Magic the
Yeah.
Gathering. I was like, wait, what? Where are we going with this?
Listen, all right. If we're talking about genocide and Magic the
Okay.
Gathering fan, no, my friend Eli will kill me. um, whenever I need to pull stuff up that I can't find. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Okay.
Passing red flag laws was not a solution by Democrats to stop mass shootings. It will be a tool to disarm any gun owner that wants to stop abortion, the trans agenda on kids, mass legal migration, and blah, 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 blah. That to me is a pretty explicit call to action.
Yes.
Yeah. It's basically saying you should have guns because, you know, if kids get taught that trans people exist or whatever she thinks the trans agenda means, you should
Okay,
be able to
but
stop that with guns.
you're not against those calls to action a priori though, because for example, Marx said that the attempts to disarm the workers must be frustrated with force if necessary. Workers need guns. So like there's still calls to action. It's just that you don't like this one.
But we're talking about genocide, though. I'm fine
Okay,
with calls to action. It's
but
if
are
it's a
we?
call to action. I'm sorry.
So what she just said there, like that doesn't prove, for example, stage 5 organization. That proves that this person has some weird beliefs on this sort of stuff, and she's using her platform to promote these weird beliefs. But it's
Oh,
not like
sure, but it's not just her. There's entire groups. You got like Patriot Front and shit like that.
oh
There
sure,
was
but
that
like where's it says during this stage, plans for genocidal killings are made, and armies or militias are armed and trained. So where are these plans?
I mean, you have state legislation where they're basically, even for some people that are below age 21 now, not just 18, like there's like legal consequences for, you know, I think it's just for the doctors, but still for giving like hormones to, well, I was gonna say kids, but once you're 18, you're not a kid anymore. Puberty
Yeah,
blockers, etc.
so I can right now just completely get on your side about above 18s. That's wholly ridiculous. Even if it turns out that like hypothetically down the road we discover that transitioning never works or something, or it's just bad all around. If you're an adult, you have the right to do whatever you want. You have the right to take drugs. You have the right to transition. You have the right to do
A
whatever
quick
you want,
question then:
even if
what's
it's
the
bad for you. Even if it's bad
what's
for
the
you.
problem with puberty blockers? So
Okay,
talking about hormones, fair enough, but
right.
we're just talking about puberty blockers. They're pretty reversible.
So this is going to be a chemistry question. And I have to give you my layman's understanding that I got from a friend of mine in the UK who actually does the DIY stuff.
Your friend Walter White.
But
Yeah,
she
go
she
ahead, go
uh
ahead.
she is involved in the making of at least some DIY stuff, and she told me the chemistry
Mhm.
about it. And I
Yeah.
have to maybe I can pull up what she sent me. Hold on.
Oh, whenever you said DIY stuff, though, we're talking about puberty blockers specifically. Whenever you're talking
Yes.
DIY, that because I know there was a bunch of talk about DIY hormone
Hmm.
replacement, but that's not what puberty blockers are.
Right. But it is related, and it does cover puberty blockers. I'm trying to scroll through our
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
extensive
yeah.
message history.
I'll give you a moment.
Jesus Christ. She keeps posting like dildos at me. And it's like I would
Um,
appreciate if
I have a friend. I have a friend who on Twitter every single time he finds something awful in a hidden reply, he sends it to me. So I do the same thing. And my mind, I saw this video of some guy like popping his testicle out yesterday, and I just, ugh.
wait, like
So if the
out
worst
of
you
the
have
ball
to,
sack.
yeah.
Oh
If
yeah, dude. Yeah, have you seen One
if
Guy, One Jar?
I have not watched it, I watched Two Girls One Cup recently because I was like, okay, I've never watched this.
Recently? That's like a
Yeah,
fucking
I heard
15-year-old meme.
I heard the audio of it before. I watched it, and Twitter's so bad that I watched. I was like, wait, that's it. It didn't even look real. I'm pretty sure like that wasn't even real.
They put ice cream
Yeah,
in
yeah,
their
like that
butts.
doesn't like I've unfortunately had to see actual scat on Twitter, so I'm like, oh man, Two Girls One Cup. Nah, dude, this is boring.
Okay, so I think I can wait. I mean, you're on your phone, so you can't even see the screen, can you?
I cannot.
All right. Well, I'll
What were
show it.
you?
I'll show it to the chat at least.
Okay.
And
Real
so,
quick, I don't actually have your stream open either.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I right now I feel pretty confident. If I feel like if I open the stream, I'm gonna get nervous. So
No, fair enough. Fair enough. I understand.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, here's what I can do. I can send you the 3 pictures, and you can look at them later if you want. But I want to show the chat the diagrams
Oh
that I
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
sent.
Go ahead.
Okay. So here, let me just here. I'll put them in the Discord DM, and you can pull these up later
Mhm.
if you want to see them later. Okay. Okay. So I'm eventually going to do like a full on video of this because I think it's actually important to talk about. But I want to get my understanding completely there. Okay. Here, get ready, chat. Get ready for your brains to expand about 10 sizes. Okay. Here we go.
How you doing, chat?
So this is how basically a hormone wash works in it's very simplified. This is how a hormone wash works in a cis person, someone who's not taking any sort of HRT or blockers or anything. Okay, so you have your sex organs, and the sex organ produces the primary sex hormone. The primary sex hormone, the presence of the primary sex hormone, then triggers the hypothalamus, which then triggers the pituitary gland, which then produces gonadotropin. And the presence of gonadotropin is what turns off the sex organ from producing more primary sex hormone. So the primary sex hormone is going to be either testosterone or estrogen, but it works the same way. It works the same way. This system works for both males and females. Okay? So if you're a guy, your balls produce testosterone. The testosterone triggers the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus triggers the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland, once it is triggered by the hypothalamus, produces gonadotropin, and the gonadotropin tells the balls to stop making testosterone. Okay? Oh my god. 20 gifted memberships. Thank you very much, JMac. Very appreciative. Thank you.
Got a simp.
Yes. Remember, guys, if you link up your YouTube with your Discord, you can get into my $5 club. So make sure you get in there, okay? Thank you very much, JMac.
It's like an OnlyFans.
Kind of, yeah. Just I'm not naked on it.
Oh,
So this is how it works for a regular cis male, cis female, okay? Then the second one, all right? This is what blockers do, okay? So the GnRH analog is the puberty blocker, all right? And that blocks the production of gonadotropin from the pituitary gland. So what happens is the sex organ, in this case, your balls, will keep producing testosterone, even though the hypothalamus is triggering the pituitary gland to make gonadotropin to turn it off, it won't turn off. If you're a trans woman going on blockers, you will actually produce more testosterone. Okay? So it sounds kind of counterintuitive, right? Because now what happens is basically your sex organ produces so much testosterone it burns out. Now this is not a permanent burnout; it's a temporary burnout. It can come back, but basically for the first few weeks you hyperproduce testosterone, and then you completely stop because your sex organ can no longer produce any more. It hasn't had that rest that it needs. So there are other problems that come with taking the blockers. Like there's the bone density problems, and there's I think there's some psych problems. There's a number of side effects that come with the blocker, but all the blocker does is prevent your sex organ from stopping until it basically destroys itself. Now, what happens if you take HRT? This is what happens if you take HRT. So, what you do is you take the external sex hormone, which triggers the hypothalamus, which then triggers the pituitary gland, which then triggers the gonadotropin, which then turns off your sex organ. So even though your balls haven't produced any testosterone, the presence of extra estrogen in your system will still cause the pituitary gland to create gonadotropin and then turn off the sex organ. So now, if you're on straight up HRT, your balls are no longer producing testosterone. So the primary sex hormone level drops. There is no more. The sex hormone level does not go to the receptor. Instead, you have your alternate receptor that goes from the supplemented sex hormone. So the issue is, ultimately, is that once you start puberty, you have to be on some kind of hormone. Now, if you're male and you go on female hormones, that's fine. If you're female and you go on male hormones, that's fine. Or you can go on the hormones that just come with your body. But either way, you have to be on some kind of hormone. The issue is when you go on blockers without going on hormones. If you do this for any length of time that's more than like a month, you start to see actual bad side effects. There seems to be no side effects other than, transitioning from going on actual HRT. But you can't just go on blockers and stay on them. Like I've seen people on the left be like, just put kids on blockers until they figure out what gender they want to be, and maybe they're on for a few years, no big deal. No. That will actually cause some pretty bad side effects. You have to either go on hormone replacement therapy, and basically the only real use for blockers is to smooth out that transitioning process. Because remember, the first few weeks on blockers, your sex hormone is hyperproducing way more testosterone than a trans woman would want. So you would take some blockers along with HRT to smooth out the transition, and then you wouldn't need them anymore. Because like how it was explained to me, when you're at this level here, this third level on screen, you no longer need blockers because the supplemented sex hormone will automatically turn off your pituitary gland. Will automatically trigger your pituitary gland to create the gonadotropin that then keeps your natural sex organs turned off. So it seems to me, this is my layman's understanding, it seems to me that if we're talking about, let's say, 12-year-olds or 13-year-olds transitioning, that them going on hormones is actually better than them going on blockers. There's my long scientific rant.
Yeah, did you real quick, did you send that to me through DMs?
Yeah. Discord DMs. You want me in Twitter and DMs instead?
Oh, okay. I don't care. Either one's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
I just had the call up, so I didn't see that. Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't want to be wrong about something. I'll definitely check it out.
Mm-hmm.
I do think there is some utility though in trying to help out kids if they identify as trans. I think generally they don't end up regretting it. If you're saying that hormones might need to go alongside the puberty blockers, like, fair enough. I again, like, this is unfortunately not something I can really discuss.
No, I understand. I just wanted to talk about what I know. This is the thing, like, the conversation should, teenaged people who claim to have gender dysphoria, should they be put on hormones? That's one conversation, and
It's not
well, hold on. You can go back and forth
okay.
on that, but it seems like at this point, in terms of just the science of it, it seems like the question: should people be put on blockers and then just have only blockers? The answer just seems to be like objectively no. There seems to be too much bad stuff that comes from that.
Real quick, you said claims to have gender dysphoria, though.
Yes.
Generally, though, that's not just something you can claim and get hormones or whatever. You have to go, like, it's a process. It's not you
Yes, and it should
claim
be.
to have
It
it.
should be. It should be a process,
Yeah,
I
the
think.
doctors actually have to, diagnose you with gender dysphoria. It's not
Hmm.
like you claim it.
So I've heard both. I've talked to a number of trans people from a number of different places now. Some of them have said that they were able to pretty much just claim they had it, and the doctors kind of hand waved them and went through the motions they were required to by law, but basically just gave it to them. And then there are some people who had to actually fight for it. So it
What
seems to be either way.
what countries, or if you're talking about America, what states are they
Um,
specifically in?
America and other countries, and I don't know about the states
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah,
like it
fair
seems to
enough.
be
I didn't. Yeah.
yeah, it seems to be different all over the place. Like it makes
Mhm.
complete sense. So for example, one of them's Taiwan, and in Taiwan it was like an uphill battle. Like you had to go through multiple different rounds of consultation and talk to multiple different doctors, and it seemed to be that it was too hard in Taiwan. So fair enough. But then you do get stories out of places like California where people are they're like there was that one there's that one detransitioner making the rounds right now where she within 6 months at 15 was having her breasts removed. Like that seems crazy to me. Like that's
Real
pretty
quick,
fucking
can you
quick.
give me a name? Because I feel like this might be a bad faith actor. I'm not saying that you're lying or whatever, but a lot of these like
I
popular detransitioners are
mhm.
very clearly just trying to get money out of it.
I don't know about money. Here's the thing.
Well,
Hold on.
money, clout, etc.
I'm gonna talk to one soon. I'm gonna talk to a
Okay.
detransitioner soon because what I've realized is like nobody on the left wants to talk to even good faith detransitioners because it kind of harms the trans argument. So they're like, no. And then the only people who want to talk to them are these right leaning people who want to completely destroy
I
all trans validity or validity. So I'm like, maybe I should talk to one of them.
I
I'll
have
come
to
at it from a
disagree
neutral
with
point of view.
that. I have to disagree with that. I follow tons of trans people on Twitter. There have been a few instances of people like saying like, "Oh, I'm not actually trans. I'm gonna, detransition, whatever." They've been very supportive.
I have seen the opposite, but it's probably just the circles that we go in.
That is entirely possible. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just saying like I don't think that's like a general thing with the left. It definitely does happen. Don't get me wrong. I don't agree with like every left
Yeah.
leaning person. There's some real
Okay.
nutters out there, but
Maybe I'll be more specific then. I feel
mhm.
like if we're talking about, let's say, streamers, I don't think that you'll get like a Vosh or something having a serious conversation with a detransitioner because it'll probably
Maybe Vosh
harm
has said
harm
in
his
the
standing.
past. Vosh has said in the past though that if there's like a good faith detransitioner or whatever who just decides like, hey, this isn't for me, that they should be taken seriously and given respect.
Oh
I
sure,
don't
but
think he's
like
taught. I mean, he's talked
it's one thing
negatively
to
about the people who like make careers out of it, but I think that's pretty fair.
it's one thing to say it, but like has he talked to any of them?
To be fair, I don't watch like every single Vosh
I
video.
mean, I know he's in the Fortress arc right now, but
Yeah.
still, like it's very easy to say that sort of thing. But then as soon as every single detransitioner appears, you're like, oh, she's bad faith,
Mhm.
they're bad faith, they're bad faith, and like, well, eventually you have to be like, well, you have to talk to one of them eventually, right? Like,
Hey, real quick, I have about a half an hour left,
oh, I'm
just
sorry,
to give you a
jeez,
heads up.
I thought we were just rolling today. Okay, no, sorry about that, man.
No, 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 no. I only said that because originally we were talking about the punk thing. I wanted to know if you wanted to get into that for a
Oh,
bit.
sure, we can. Yeah, we can
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
So I did watch the majority of your video, and to be fair, you said it was 3 years ago. I think
I think it's 3
it
years ago.
couldn't have
Yeah,
been three. It would have been two because you
2.
mentioned COVID in it.
Oh, okay, maybe 2 then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took a bunch of notes. Probably more than I needed. There was a few things I disagreed with.
Sure.
So, um, okay, first of all, I wanted to read out a tweet that I specifically sent you that I agreed with, which to be fair, it's a tweet. It's going to miss nuance. I fully understand that.
Yeah, it's 240 characters. Like honestly, I
Yeah.
I shit post way more on Twitter than like I'm pretty serious on my channel for the most part. Like I put forward pretty serious arguments on Twitter. I'm just shit
Mhm.
posting. I don't give a fuck about Twitter. It's a fucking garbage pile,
So
trash website.
right here, it's just some Simpsons meme saying punks now, blah 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 blah. So this person says, "Are we seriously doing the whole conservatism is the new punk rock BS all over again?" So
I
again, I
remember
don't
this.
know
Yeah.
how much of this is serious, but I'm gonna read out your tweet real quick.
Okay,
You
let's see.
say, "Yes, punk is anti-establishment, and leftism is the establishment now. You cannot remain the underdog forever. You have won the culture war. You are not the counterculture anymore. Kids rebel against leftist parents by becoming libertarians nowadays."
Yes.
Is any of that hyperbolic?
Okay, so that last sentence, kids rebel against leftist parents by becoming libertarians nowadays. I'm referencing a specific TikTok. I don't know if you've seen it. It went
Hold
viral maybe 3 or 4 months ago.
I apologize. I
Okay.
dropped my phone and my headphones came unplugged. I missed about 10 seconds there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, man.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. So,
Yeah.
that last sentence, kids rebel against leftist parents by becoming libertarians nowadays. That sentence, I'm referencing a specific viral TikTok. I don't know if you've seen it. I can describe it to you,
I
though.
do not use.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
I tried to find it in prep for this, and I couldn't find it anymore because like, I guess it was like it must have been like a flash in the pan thing, right? So I can't
I
find it
know
anymore.
the feeling. I know the
Yeah.
feeling.
So this video was a father with blonde hair and a goatee in front of a bookshelf in in like a morning robe, and he says to the camera, "Adventures in leftist parenting." I know I did a video on this or a stream or something, but like I can't find anything on it
You know what?
anymore.
I think I might have seen that actually.
Okay,
That sounds very familiar.
so he says that he has like a young son who's like 5 or 6, and he's in kindergarten, and they do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, and he's trying to teach his son that, well, it's good to pledge allegiance to your family and your friends and your community, but sometimes the nation and the flag are not so good because there's some bad history there. And now his son's growing up a little bit more. Now he's like another year. He's like a year later or something. And his son is saying, "Listen, Daddy, I'm going to do the full Pledge of Allegiance just to make you angry." And he does it. And this father starts laughing. Like he can't laugh like in the kid's face, but he's like on his own. He starts laughing, and then he says that he can already foresee the teenage rebellion years, where his son is walking around with like a George Bush T-shirt, or talking about the traditional gender roles of the 1980s. And he said something along the lines of that rebelling against children rebelling against their parents in the future will be children becoming more conservative. And I think that there's some truth to that. Because I mean, even he saw it.
So real quick, I guess my issue with this is you're kind of so punk isn't just being anti-establishment though.
Okay.
Like you're making it sound like okay, like they're going against the grain, they're going against their parents, but that's not all that punk is though. And I know you know that because like I watched your video. That's a little
Mm-hmm.
simplistic. That's why I was asking about the tweet because I know like tweets. You're
Yeah. Well, here's the
yeah.
thing. Like the whole like what punk when I was growing up, what punk was, it wasn't apolitical, but it was very much like a provocation for the sake of being provocative, right? That's why they dressed the way they did. That's why they acted the way that they did.
Yes.
And for example, you can even in like this is before my time, but in the 1980s, you can find like action movies where you had Nazi punks. You have what's his name, like Johnny Rotten, who's very much like not a leftist punk. So
Nazi punks aren't really accepted though.
they might
Like there's
not
that
be
phrase like
accepted, but
Nazi punks fuck off. Like they're a pretty small minority.
well, sure, but punk's a
They're
pretty
really
small
not.
minority though.
Oh yeah, but it's not really like a big part of the subculture. The rest of them pretty pretty they hate them pretty badly.
Well, sure, but like that doesn't mean that they don't exist or they're not part of it. Like they might be hated by another part of the subculture, but they're still there.
Because when I think of punk, like anti-establishment is certainly not the only thing that part of it. Like I read a Wikipedia article. I know like not everyone likes Wikipedia, but I think it was pretty fair. They
Wikipedia's
talk
usually
about
pretty
like
good.
anti-corporatism, anti-consumerism, non-conformity.
Hmm.
Like it's not just so. Whenever we talk about anti-corporatism or anti-consumerism, is that like a right-wing thing? That's pretty explicitly left-wing.
I don't think so. I think there's definitely strands of the right that are anti-consumerist now. Your point makes sense for the old style, like George Bush, Mitt Romney, neocons, right? But there's there's definitely sections of the right now that are they're much more skeptical. Oh, you're back. What happened?
God, I, I genuinely, I don't know.
Okay. Well, anyway, um, the old style neocons, it makes sense for them, like the Mitt Romneys and the George Bushes, but
Mhm.
there's like the current right, the new right, the young people who are right leaning right now. They don't like corporations. They're actually very skeptical of corporations. However, they view corporations as an extension of leftist power, but that's a different conversation. But they still don't like corporations. Um, and if we're talking about nonconformity, I mean, the cultural zeitgeist right now is certainly progressive. And to be non-conforming with that cultural zeitgeist would be to be someone more conservative.
Would you say that leftism is the establishment?
Depends what you mean by establishment. If we're
Yeah,
talking, if we're talking,
that's what
say,
I was
like,
thinking. Because in your video, and again, I know this was 2 years ago,
mhm.
you mentioned that leftism is the establishment. I mean, I have to disagree,
Well,
right?
if we're talking cultural establishment, yes, unequivocally, that's not
Would
even
you
arguable.
consider the establishment to be culture, or would you?
Possibly, yes.
When I
There's
when I
definitely
think
parts
of
of it.
establishment, I think of power.
You don't think there's power in culture?
Not as much as a fucking Supreme Court, for example. I mean,
Yes, that's
yeah,
true. So, for
they
example,
don't they're
right
not
now,
exactly they don't exactly do abide by the will of the people.
well, the Supreme Court shouldn't abide by the will of the people.
Um, yes and no. I mean,
Uh,
we should.
I don't think
The
so. I
problem
don't
is
think it
like
should.
we don't elect who's in the Supreme Court, and to
We
say that the
shouldn't either.
Supreme Court is an apolitical entity is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, sure, yeah, I agree with that,
Yeah,
but we
yeah.
shouldn't elect
hmm
who's in the Supreme Court, though.
Um, I
I
mean,
mean,
do you think just whoever the president at the time is should be able to put in like any goal? Who's like, oh, by the way, sodomy shouldn't be
yes,
legal, gay marriage shouldn't be legal.
yes.
You think the president should just be able to select that?
Well, the president didn't select it. That's not how the system works. But the president should be able to select Supreme Court justices. Yes,
That's what I meant.
yes, he should be,
Yeah.
or she if it's a girl. That's fine. Yes, the president should be able to pick
Why
Supreme
though?
Court justices. Yeah, because, well, it's like I said earlier, like not everything should be up for democratic vote.
I mean, yeah, but that's anything government related. I feel like there should be a pretty great deal of democracy in that. That
Well,
again,
there
like if
is.
this
You
was
vote for a
some
president.
if this was actually able to be some apolitical entity, then I'd agree with you. But that's not how this
Well,
works. It's no coincidence that it's 6-3, like every important vote right now.
well, hold on though, because you don't. Hold on. I want to be fair here.
hmm
Most progressives that I've spoken to don't believe in the concept of an apolitical entity. They say everything's political.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So it's not like you could even have an apolitical entity anyway.
Well, yeah,
So,
yeah, I know. What I was getting at though is if that were a thing, then I'd agree it wouldn't need to be democratic. But since it always will be, it kind of has to be.
well, by that logic, shouldn't everything be democratic because everything's political?
Um, what depends? That depends, I guess. Is your personal relationship political? Like when you say everything, that doesn't literally mean everything, but like tons of facet of life. Yeah.
Well, I here's the thing. I've heard like some people saying that your sex life is political. If you let's say that you're a cis man and you're not attracted to a trans woman. I've heard some trans activists say that's a political statement.
Well, your individual relationship isn't political, but yeah, what you're it's kind of complicated, right?
Okay.
And yeah.
Well, in terms of democracy though, I think
mhm.
it's actually prudent to have some sections of the government not up to just a vote, whether that be a popular vote or a what's the other one, a representative vote. I think that's fine.
mm.
I mean, the whole point of the Supreme Courts is that,
Could we find
well,
some common ground here? Maybe like so. Okay, you say like a direct democratic vote wouldn't work for the Supreme Court justices, right? You think there's a better system though than just them being elected by whoever's in power at the time? Think there's some compromise that might work better? Because right now,
I think
like
it's pretty good actually. I think it's pretty good. I don't know if there's anything
really,
better. Yeah. So
mm,
let me see if I can lay it out. So you vote in the president, and you can have the electoral college conversation. That's a different conversation. But like,
Yeah, you
even
probably know
even
where I stand on that.
yes, even if the electoral college were changed, you can vote on the president, and now the president appoints the justices, and now the Senate has to vote on confirming them. That and you vote for senators, so that seems to be a pretty democratic institution. The reason that you don't want to directly vote on the justices themselves, nor should they have term limits, is that actually ends up being a restriction on their power. So there's like, it's not like the Supreme Court justices are like, well, I got to think about my next political move, and I gotta, okay, well, maybe if I do this in the court, I can now take that and parlay that into my next career path. It's like, no, you're at the end of your career. There's no more political concerns. Now it's simply you and the cases that you're judging. And I think that's actually a pretty good safeguard.
So I don't want to pivot. I don't actually know how we got into this. I wanted to bring up some more points about the punk stuff.
Right. Okay.
Um,
We got here
yeah,
because we were talking about. I said that the culture is certainly left leaning, and I still think that it is. And you said that political power is more
cultural.
important than
So
culture.
you said that we've won that, like leftists have won the culture war. I'd say we're
Hmm.
winning. There's always the possibility for it to change.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't think we've won. Yeah.
Like I think
Again,
what
like that's a little semantic
yeah. I
differentiation.
mean,
That's
I think
yeah.
what'll actually happen is in the next decade it'll probably shift back rightward again. Things seem to move in
I
pendulums.
I'd hope that's not the case, but I suppose it is possible.
Well, I
Um,
don't. Well, here. Let me put it this way. I saw another tweet, and it was actually a pretty good tweet, and it was people screaming about the Supreme Court because of the current Roe v. Wade thing, and then saying we need to abolish the court and we need to completely change the system. And this person said our institutions are only invalid if they do not produce an unbroken string of progressive victories. And I was like, well, because like for example, when Trump lost in 2020, people on the right were screaming about how the institution was invalid and it was fucking him over and he it was stolen from him. And it's like, oh well, okay. I mean, you can examine that and actually see if it's true or not. Like you can actually look into the situation and see if it was actually stolen or if Trump was just huffing his own copium. But the point is that people are very quick to turn on an institution when that institution produces a result that they don't personally like, even if the result is valid and the institution is valid. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I guess this kind of does get back into the whole fact that like, would you say you're a deontologist or? I
Um,
know we had this discussion.
I think we did. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Because
think
I'm
I think
pretty
everyone is
utilitarian.
actually. I think everyone is.
Yeah. I don't really want to get into this too much, but
We should get into it right fucking now.
I sent it to my friend, my resident vibe checker, as I called them.
Yeah.
And they said that both of us were driving them absolutely up a wall with our philosophy.
I mean, I think people are simultaneously deontologists and consequentialists because
I think
the
I
reason
think
that well I can TLDR this really quick just for the sake of the
yeah,
audience.
yeah, go for it.
The reason that you follow a good rule and the reason that a rule is good is because it produces a good end. However,
Mhm.
what constitutes a good end? That question is ultimately answered by deontology. You know, when you say, okay, well, I think I gave you this example. Should you throw the gays off the rooftops? Right? We would say
Oh my
no.
god, I remember that.
Yep. An ISIS member would say yes. Well, what's the difference between the two of you? At the end of the day, if you really work through the logic and boil it down, the difference is that you don't want to do it and he wants to do it. And everything else is just post hoc justification of those two desires that we have that seem to be more or less just part of us. And that is a deontological statement. So,
You are correct in a way. No one is like a full on utilitarian so much as they might want to be, but I think that's I'm not saying I don't think it's impossible to be. I just think people tend not to be. Everyone has like kind of their roles that they can't fully justify through a utilitarian calculus, I guess. But I don't think that means that you can't be overall like a utilitarian.
I mean, maybe. But I think that there will just be like, for example, if it became justifiable in a utilitarian sense to there's let's say a big machine and it's like, well, this machine unless you throw 50 of the most underprivileged minorities directly into it and they get mashed up and destroyed in the most gruesome way possible. Either you do that or the entire human race goes under, right? Like, it's when you have really
From a
extreme like hypotheticals like
utilitarian,
that, you would do it, but it's like you wouldn't like doing it. You know what I
well,
mean?
yeah, I wouldn't blame someone for not doing that. Don't get me wrong, but like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not saying it's morally good, but like, it would be a net positive. As absurd as that hypothetical is, that would be
Yeah,
a net positive.
but
Yeah.
like here's the thing. So Vosh's Coconut Island seems to be a criticism in some way of deontological thinking because I own property by virtue of working it. That's a very hard and fast rule among classical liberals. And so that becomes like a deontological statement. So even if that person did, in fact, legitimately work hard to collect all those coconuts, that still deprives the other person because he has taken up all of the property on the island. So that pushes that deontological view to its breaking point.
If
However,
to get to
there's
that hypothetical, if someone were to, try and get me to suck their dick,
for a coconut.
basically to live, yeah,
Yeah.
I think you could definitely justify just killing them at that point.
I don't know, killing them, but stealing from them, sure. I think so. But
Killing
here
That's a level of coercion. They're willing to like sacrifice your life for their own pleasure, basically. I think it's
yeah,
fine to kill them at
but
that
sex
point.
work is real work, so it's fine. I don't hate on prostitutes.
Yeah, but sex work is something that you can actually consent to. There's not really a good way to consent to, like, what are you consenting to? Like
Well, hold
sucking
on.
dick to not die. That the level
Well,
of coercion there
that
is
is what
so
sex
much
workers do,
greater than
though.
sex work.
Sex workers
No,
do
no, no,
that.
no. The level
Prostitutes
of
do that all the time.
coercion, the level of coercion is so much higher in the coconut
Well,
analogy
well,
than it
what if
is
you
in
actually found the guy?
prostitution.
What if you found the guy hot and you were like actually okay with doing it?
Well, then you're actually consenting that you can properly. Well, I'd still argue that it's a fucked up situation, but I mean, at least you're getting something out of it, I guess.
Here, let me give you the inverse. Uh,
I can't think of any guy I'd want to. I don't really want to suck a guy's dick for coconuts though.
I
Personally,
assume you're
but
straight then. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
super straight. No, no.
So there is actually an inverse scenario. So let's say,
Mhm.
um, is it the liver that you can cut into pieces? I think it is, and it still works on other people, or is it kidney? I think it's liver. No, is it kidney? I don't know. I think
Oh,
it doesn't
don't
matter.
ask me these questions. I'm
Yes.
not inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you go into a hospital. You're
Mhm.
for a surgery. You have to go under. You're asleep for 12 hours while they operate on you. While you're being operated on, they wheel in three other people who are all going to die unless they get some of your organs. You're the only person there who's compatible. You're already asleep, and the doctor just has to take the organs out of you and put it into them, or else those three people will die. And it actually wouldn't hurt you because they're only taking pieces of your organs. You can survive. You can survive with only one lung. You can survive with only half your liver, whatever the case may be. So in that case, should they violate your consent for the greater outcome of three people surviving? Or should your
I
consent be respected and those three people die?
I would argue that there's still utilitarian benefit to not doing that. Precedent is something that you can justify from a utilitarian lens. So if you can just, you know, violate someone's bodily autonomy at will to help other people, that can set terrible precedent in the future.
Yeah, so this is
That I'd
rule
argue has
utilitarianism, right?
that causes a utilitarian, harm, even if it helps in that particular scenario.
Right. So this is the rule utilitarianism, where the idea is you should follow a rule unless there's an extreme reason not to follow the rule. And this to you is not an extreme enough reason.
No.
Okay. So that's I think Destiny calls these hidden ends, where yeah, you might actually do good in that one act, but now you've normalized this, and that normalization might lead to worse results down the road. So you have hidden
If
ends
we
that you
were
haven't tied up.
real quick, if we were talking about saving, like, obviously this couldn't happen. If it would save like 100 people or something, then I'd probably be in favor of it. Again, it really does come down to utilitarian calculus. It's a really hard judgment to make.
Mhm.
There's no right answer. But I guess I just argue that deontologically, there's no right answer either.
So
It's all arbitrary. It's what you consider to be moral,
well, I mean, I think that's my
and
position in the
very,
end.
very, very, very hard to justify legally too.
So I constructed in one of my videos a inverse of Vash's Coconut Island, and I called it Dev's Spaceship. Okay, and it's an attempt for me to um to basically tie up all of the hidden ends. All right, so let's say that scenario is happening as well. All right, you're unconscious, and there's 3 people get rolled in, and you can save 3 lives for one. But also, this entire scenario is happening on a spaceship. Okay? And that spaceship is going to crash into Earth. All right? And
Okay.
there's no communication between the spaceship and Earth because the communications are shot. So when that spaceship crashes, everyone dies anyway. Right? Everyone dies
Okay.
anyway. And there's no hidden ends to worry about because you're not normalizing this behavior in the wider culture. So in that case, when you're in this sealed bubble where the rest of the culture isn't contaminated, could you do things that ordinarily would be considered immoral?
I'd argue the harm you cause, even for the so the things you'd be doing. Are you talking like, I know it's kind of extreme, like let's say raping the other people in there? Is that like the type of thing you're talking about?
You could do that too. Yeah, you could use
Yeah.
like because
I
there's always like the whole gang rape is a democratic act. Like that's a meme among the right where
oh
like
my god.
if you have 1,000 people raping one person, eventually there's more pleasure gained by the 1,000 than there is
I'd
pain gained
argue
by
in
the
the
one.
short amount of time that they're still alive, it would absolutely still be wrong to make those last moments more miserable by raping them.
But why
Yes.
though? Like where's the consequence? Like what's the bad end?
That's harm. Even if it's short lived, that's still harm that could be avoided.
Well, sure, but I mean the utilitarian calculus. Eventually, if you add enough rapists to the pile, the utility gained from all of those people overrides the one
Like
person's lack of
like, oh,
utility.
so you're saying like the pleasure, like they gang rape the one person in there and everyone's gonna die anyways. So wouldn't it
Yes,
be utilitarian? Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
guess I'd still have to disagree with that.
how come though?
I think if you allow that to be like a rule, like, oh, the time frame is such that, the person's not gonna be that alive for much longer anyways. If
Hmm.
you let that slide, I guess I just have to say that sets really bad precedent.
But here's the thing: it doesn't actually set a precedent because when the ship is destroyed, no one will ever know what happened on it. So it's not like
From an
it permeates
ideological
out.
basis, it does though, because that could
But
happen
how?
multiple times,
Well,
right?
yeah,
I don't.
but you can't. Here's what I mean:
Yeah.
is that you can't appeal to ends here because there is no wider diffusion of this morality into the wider culture because
Okay,
there's no evidence that it ever happened.
so let's say real quick that the gang rape thing happens, right? But you'll die in 10 years, right? Why does the time frame matter? I guess.
The time frame doesn't matter. Like you could gang rape them for 10 years and then crash the ship because here's the thing: the issue with the hidden ends point of view is that okay, this one act might actually be in a vacuum um, morally permissible because you can calculate out there's more good than bad with a sufficiently high enough number of rapists. There's more good than bad there, so you can actually calculate that out. But then what makes that act bad is that it's not in a vacuum. It's that if you have a society that permits gang rape, everything else falls apart. So all you have to do is take that act, keep it in the vacuum by killing them all and making sure no one ever knows what happened. And now suddenly there seems to be no utilitarian objection against it.
Okay, so if you gang rape someone, what I meant is like it happens. It doesn't have to be in a spaceship in this case, but you just get gang raped, and 10 years later you die.
Hmm.
Okay, how is that? I guess my problem is like, how is that any different? You're still like, you could say, oh well, that's helpful to all the people that rape them because they get off or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
what would be the objection in that case,
Well,
in
in
your
that
mind?
case, the objection is that there's this diffusion of the acceptance of gang rape into the wider culture because it's not isolated.
Well, sure, but how could you accept that if it just happens and then you die shortly after?
Well, hold on. It's not just that you die shortly after. It's that you die shortly after in a way that prevents the diffusion of the act from moving into the wider culture. So there's no hidden ends. There's no like, oh, down the line this becomes more normalized. That's no longer a concern. That's what makes this different.
Well, sure, but couldn't that just be a rule you set that still has a utilitarian benefit? I don't think that's purely
What,
deontological,
well,
I guess.
what benefit does it have though?
I mean, I guess I just have to say precedent, right?
What do you mean?
Well, if you can do that, but there's a short amount of time you have to live, couldn't you just justify like gang raping someone and then killing them?
I
You
mean,
all
yeah,
gain benefit from, yeah.
yes,
Well, if they,
that's the problem with this system. That's why I don't like it. This is what I mean. Like I don't
yeah,
I'm not a strict utilitarian. Like I understand that ends have their place, but I'm not a strict utilitarian for this reason. Is that you can definitely you can. Here's
okay,
the thing.
it's very difficult to like just make a set of rules in terms of like what would work out in a utilitarian framework. But I guess my problem is like, isn't that just the same thing with the ontological thought?
Yes, it
It's
is.
impossible. Yeah.
It is. Yes, that's why I don't actually subscribe to any of
See,
these beliefs.
okay. Yeah. What I was getting at though is like, if you're a utilitarian,
Mm-hmm.
then your mind would slip if you're me. Oh my god. um. Okay. Never mind. Never mind.
See, here's the thing. My actual view on morality is that most of the time you don't need a formalized moral framework to understand what's going on around you. So I don't
I
know
don't
if I
think
gave.
most people do, anyways.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if I gave you this example, but it'll still work. You know, if we're walking down the street and I bump into you, okay, and I say, "Oh, I'm sorry." It's not like you suddenly start thinking, "Oh, well, are you saying sorry because you violated a deontological rule where you shouldn't be bumping into me? Or are you saying sorry because there's a bad consequence here where I get knocked over and now you're feeling bad about." It's like, no, no one thinks this way. For almost all moral situations, you don't actually need a moral framework.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So this is
But whenever
mostly
you're
just like
saying a
philosophy
utilitarian,
wankery.
that doesn't mean that like it's important in every scenario or whatever. Like who cares why you said sorry right there? I don't think that has a utilitarian benefit or downside really.
Well, sure, we're talking about
That's such
morality
a
here,
minor
though.
scenario.
Well, yeah, but I mean, even minor scenario build up. Everything's political.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything counts.
Well,
It's all that
sure.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. But yeah, so I like my view on morality is that most people believe the basics pretty much the same. It's pretty much universal. Um.
I think
And
most people like they believe the things they do based off of intuition.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what is good is what feels like it's moral, basically in the moment, and that's what
Oh
most
yeah.
people's morality actually is.
Listen, you and I do that too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah. There are times where I sit back and I think like, why do I believe this? I think that's important
Yeah, you
to
also have to
like,
explore it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think to be fair, we both probably do that significantly more than an average person.
Um, I have to
I
be honest. I did when I
I
was your
speak to
age, but nowadays I'm spending more of my brain power on like political philosophy than I am on morality.
yeah, because I speak to people all the time about like ridiculous scenarios and stuff, and like I can come up with answers, but they like struggle super hard.
Listen, when you're 20, like
Yeah,
you're in your 20s and you're like getting high all the time, that's what you'd basically do. Yeah. I don't do that much too much anymore, but yeah,
man,
I remember the days.
I haven't since last year when I went to different state for a trip.
Was it legal there and it's not legal in yours or something?
Yes, sir.
I think it's legal all across Canada. It's great.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I guess regarding the main thing, the main thing was the punk conservative situation,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think my actual serious thesis on that is something along the lines of progressivism has become the monoculture, and so they're no longer the underdogs, basically,
I don't think.
especially in the cultural sphere,
Okay, but
and
punk isn't just about being an underdog, though. There's tons of like specific things. There's the hair. It's either dyed hair or really spiky. You have like the types of clothes they wear. You have body mods, tattoos.
listen, we're not at cyberpunk yet, okay?
Yeah,
But yeah, here's the thing. Like we can talk about like the punk aesthetic. Anyone can wear
mhm.
punk clothing. It doesn't matter what their politics are. It's just clothing, right? I thought we were
Yeah.
talking about like the philosophy behind the
Well, yeah.
punk outlook on
What I was
life.
gonna get at is there's more to it than just being anti-establishment. You also have like what we were talking about, anti-corporatism and anti-consumerism, which I know you said like some of the right wingers that are more
Like younger right wingers, yeah.
yeah,
Well,
not like neocons or whatever.
yeah. Well, like
They might have
if you look at, for example, like right wingers who are around your age right now, they're all talking about how they want to like own a farm, and they have their trad wife and like the blue dress and the blue sundress, and
there's
they
like
want to like buy locally, and like this is not a corporatist
there's
consumerist point of view.
there's anarchists that speak like that too, actually.
Oh, sure. I
Funny
mean,
enough.
yeah.
Um,
They're, they're,
which actually brings me to the point. In your video, you mentioned you were reading through the Wikipedia article, which again,
mhm,
like I like Wikipedia for the most part.
yeah.
And what it went through is it said like a wide variety of ideologies, and you said
Yes.
like, well, that could mean anything.
Mhm.
While that is true that there's a wide variety of ideologies, they're all left wing though. You have like socialists, anarchists, etc.
I don't believe that anarchism is either a left or right thing. I definitely think that there's definitely like anarchist tendencies on the right. There's anti-establishment tendencies on the right. I don't. There's this view that the right is always
Anarchism's pretty
authoritarian.
left leaning. I don't know.
Um.
Again, like left
I,
and right is a fairly
okay. Well,
arbitrary
let's
distinct.
be more
Yeah.
let's be more specific then. Okay.
Mhm.
So when you have like let's not talk about left or right anymore. Okay. You
Okay.
have, let's say, up and down on the axis is authoritarian and libertarian, and then
Yeah.
left and right on the axis is like right is more individual, left is more collective. So it's kind of like
Real
that.
quick, if I could cut you off, the political compass is pretty shit.
It's pretty shit, but it'll
Yeah.
work for this though. It'll work for this. So
Okay.
when you have like anarcho-capitalists, for example, they are like the ultimate individualists to the point where they don't want any kind of social structures whatsoever, but they just want individuals who all own their own little homesteads and their own little castles and their own little domains.
And
And every
caps
and
aren't really punks though, or rather,
I don't agree.
punks really aren't and caps.
I think I've seen some uncapped
Anarcho,
punks out there.
maybe. I don't think that's the predominant type of punk though. I think that's pretty
Sure.
antithetical to a lot of what punks stand for.
Well, to be honest, if we're talking about just what punk do you see most often? Most often you
I
just
mean,
see people who dress that way and like the music, but don't actually have any real political thoughts.
what I wanted to get into with the punk thing is like
Hmm.
some of the other, like I know we talked about like anti-establishment, but whenever we talk about like anti-authoritarianism, right?
Yes.
Would you say that left wingers are more authoritarian right now than right wingers?
Right now,
Yeah,
if you asked me that, let's say 3 or 4 years ago, I'd probably say yes. Right now, I'd probably say it's about even. And I think that
really.
I think there's like you can map the trend towards authoritarianism on either
What's
side in like a
more
sine wave, like up and down. It just
okay?
changes
So
over time.
when I talk about like right wing authoritarianism, I think of like let's say Clarence Thomas, Jesus,
Yeah.
like banning sodomy, gay marriage, contraception, probably a trillion other things.
Hmm.
What compares to that?
On the left,
Yeah.
the Soviet Union.
Um. Okay. Are there people pushing for like Soviet Union type authoritarianism on the left in America?
I mean, you know who Infrahaz is, right?
Yeah,
The tankies are alive and well right now, especially online. They're all over the fucking place, man.
that dude's a fucking idiot.
He might be an idiot,
Yeah.
but he's still there.
Yeah. I think most left wing people hate him pretty badly. Even some people that you might consider to be tankies kind of hate him
Well, he's
on Twitter.
exceptionally stupid
Yeah.
though. Like he's way dumber than the average. No,
Oh
there's
yeah, he's genuinely one of the dumbest people that like streams on Twitch in my opinion. Oh my god.
but yeah, like
His
there
entire
there
Twitter
are.
account's just like an L posting. It's so bad.
Okay, so let's see if I can formulate this properly. I think you can even make a solid argument for Vosh in this camp on some level. despite how much he talks about libertarian socialism and market socialism, I think the argument can be made, and I think I can TLDR it really quick. One, if you look at
Okay.
his, if he was a tanky in his past, and if you can actually find like old videos, like debates from 8 years ago on Destiny's channels, he was much more authoritarian then than he is now, and maybe he's just hiding his power level at this point. Um,
I from the pretty I think it would be pretty surprising if that were the case. He goes pretty hard against tankies.
well, yeah, but
He's
it,
lost a lot of potential fans and stuff like that, going pretty damn hard after them.
it's easy to go hard against tankies while still like espousing the same ideas, just not calling them that. You know, there's I think, oh god, it was like, was it Far Cry 4? Destiny was playing, so it's been a while, or it was 4
Was
or
Far Cry
5,
4 the one that takes place in America?
and that was 5. That was 5. But Destiny was playing that game, and Vosh was on the call, and this was like 6 or 8 years ago or something, and Vosh is like, yeah, so if they're not voting already, we just got to force them to do it. And it's like, well, that doesn't sound very, like, that sounds actually quite authoritarian of you. It's like, well, he was much more brazen about it back then, you know.
Um,
Um.
yeah, I don't think you should be able to force people to vote. I think it would be helpful if like people
Oh,
would
I,
be
I, I
more
didn't mean
informed and
I didn't mean
oh
force people to vote. I meant he was saying if they will not vote to implement left wing policies, we should do it through violence.
oh
But keep in mind, this
is
is like
that
6 or 8 years
authoritarian?
ago.
Hold on,
6 or 8 years ago.
wait. If you use violence to enact anti-authoritarian policies, is that authoritarian?
I mean, if you're overriding a democratic vote, yeah.
Okay. Well, again, like democracy. Oh, I know I've said this before. Democracy is great insofar as the people who participate in democracy are properly informed. So if you were to
Well,
go to like,
well, that just
go
means
ahead.
that you just want them to vote your way. That's what properly informed means.
I mean, if you're properly informed, you will vote my way.
But see, everyone thinks that though. Everyone
Oh
thinks
yeah.
that.
Well, yeah.
So that doesn't really help us. You know what I mean? But like, it's
Well,
not just
yeah,
that
yeah,
though.
but that's like saying people who are wrong, people are who aren't wrong, have like the same level of validity in their opinions, right?
Yeah, but who's to say
I,
that you're right?
I mean, I guess I just have to say I do. I
Well,
mean,
I
mean,
say
like,
that. I say that
yeah.
too, though. I say that too. But
Well,
no,
anyone can
okay.
say anything, but again, just saying you're right doesn't mean.
No, I know,
We're
I
gonna
know.
talk in circles. We're gonna talk in
Here,
circles.
here. So, for example, there's another video clip where Vosh, he, like most market socialists, talks about how he wants market socialism to be a backdoor into like a more kind of traditional command economy, which I think is very anti-freedom. Um, but also, there's the whole social fascist thing. Whenever Vosh talks to a sockdem, like a Conaboy or something, he pulls out something that sounds like the social fascist theory, where sockdems inevitably side with fascists because they prevent the revolution, and like that seems insane to me. But that's a theory that came out of the Stalinist camp in the 1930s. So like I think, let's say, the more there's like two horseshoes in play here. The more extreme libertarian left you are, the much more easily you can become authoritarian left, and the more and if you're extreme libertarian right, you can very easily become authoritarian right. Because, and I think this works for pretty much every ideology, because basically you can believe that you are so right, that your ideas are so good and they're so necessary that it's actually worth violating people's freedom in order to try to implement them. And that works for anyone, left, right. It works for any kind of ideology. So I think radicalism automatically leads to authoritarianism.
I mean, I'd have to disagree with that. There's tons of ways you can be radical in which you're promoting freedom.
Okay, but so
Let's
give me an example. Give me an example.
let's say you're a serf, right?
Yeah.
We're talking in a feudalist society,
Mm-hmm.
and you and a bunch of other serfs conspire to take out your the lordship or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I I think that's pretty justifiable. Is that like authoritarian?
Well, there's a few problems there. Is that
Yeah.
one is that serfs generally didn't do that because
Well, yeah,
being
I know
being
that we're
under
talking
being
in
un-
hypotheticals.
well, yeah, like being under a lord actually gave them some social privileges, and they want like peasants wanted to be serfs. That was it was considered a step up in their social system. Um,
Hmm.
Secondly, like that's not how feudalism was overthrown. Like feudalism was overthrown because the Black Plague destroyed Europe, and there actually ended up being way few workers. There was way less. God, my grammar's fucking up. There was significantly fewer peasants able to become serfs, giving workers more power in that market over lords, because now suddenly it was the sellers of labor who were more rare than the buyers of labor, and so lords were competing against each other for serfs. That the upending of feudalism was caused by the Black Plague. Um, like, is it? And I guess the actual answer seems to be, what do the serfs intend to do after overthrowing the lord? And does the lord deserve being overthrown simply because he's a lord? Like those are questions that need to be answered before you can say whether or not this is an authoritarian act.
I mean, the second one, I mean, yeah, it's a super complicated sort of scenario. It's kind of hard to draw back to what we were just talking about. And to be
Okay,
honest, my
fair
mind
enough.
kind of slipped a bit.
Fair enough. But
Yeah.
like, I guess it's more like, hierarchy isn't inherently bad. There are sometimes justified hierarchies. Sometimes you have a good lord who takes care of his serfs, and even if that lord can't change the entire
That
feudalistic system.
hierarchy that hierarchy might be better than some other hierarchies, but I think hierarchy in general tends to be pretty harmful in most cases.
Well, firstly, that's just a restatement of the iron law of oligarchy. So I guess you're on board with me
Yeah.
on that. But secondly, no, I don't think it is. I think hierarchy can be harmful, especially if you really suck at climbing the one that you're in. But I think it's also necessary.
I think reduction of hierarchy, at least from where we're at now, is pretty important. It might be impossible to like completely eliminate hierarchy from society as a whole. I think that's probably true.
Well, here, name a hierarchy that you think is not necessary right now.
Um, I mean, we talked earlier about socialism, like having a boss at work, like an owner who doesn't even work at that place. They just kind of collect the profit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wanna be specific here. I'm thinking about it. Okay, so like a lot of CEOs who own companies, they still perform labor in the company. You might say that they get paid too much for what they do, and that's a different argument. But the idea that bosses don't work doesn't seem to be true.
Depends on the boss.
Sure. So let's say we have okay, let's say we can
I guess my point is like it's not necessary though.
to have a boss.
Again, like we were, yeah.
Okay, so let's
If
see.
something's collectively owned, like I feel like you're getting rid of some hierarchy that's just not necessary.
Well, okay, hold on. Let me see if I can work this out in my head here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so let's say I want to start a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I start my business. I don't know if we had this conversation. Maybe we did, but
This sounds pretty similar to what we
yeah. So
discussed, but yeah.
I start the business. I put down 100,000 of my own dollars, and I put my own time and labor into the business to start it. So it's my capital, my time, my labor. I'm putting all of it into the business to get it started because there's no business. I have to build it for myself, right? And once I've built it myself, now I own the thing that I've built, because that's pretty normal. You build a house, you own it. You build whatever, you own whatever it is that you build. That seems to be pretty normal. Um, so the capital and the labor provided was all me, so I own it. Now, if I hire someone to work in that business, they're coming in. They're not working for free like I did. They're getting paid for their work. They're not putting in the capital that I put in. So I put in labor and capital, and I take out of that institution ownership. They come in, they put now it's already been built, so they don't have to do the hard work of building it. So they come in, they put in capital. Sorry, they put in labor, but they withdraw capital, which is why they don't get ownership. If
Real
they
quick,
came, hold on.
We're not. Oh, okay.
Just really quickly finish this out. If they came in and said, you know what, I'll do what you do. I will put in labor like you, but I won't get paid for it. I will also put in capital, which means that they buy out half of my business. So they give me $50,000 because I put in 100,000. So they give me $50,000. Now we co-own it because they've bought half of the business. They're working like I'm working. They're paying like I'm paying, and so now we both have ownership. But because he's not paying, he's working and withdrawing money. That's why he doesn't own it. That seems to be a reasonable way to do things.
So what I was gonna say is, if you only have one worker like that, to where they'd have to, buy in for $50,000, like
Mhm.
you're not just gonna get one employee unless it's like a contracting thing. And I don't think contracting necessarily has to be like cooperative. Now, if we're talking about a business that needs multiple people, my solution would be, you join that company or whatever, and you do still have to like buy into it in a way, but you're not directly just spending the money. It might just come out of your paycheck. But the idea is, since the boss isn't, collecting the bulk of the profit or whatever, like you'd see a lot more money in the first place, and just some of that could be taken out to be put into the business. So
I'm
you
not
have a
sure. I'm not sure about that. So let's say
no.
we have a store and the store has 10 employees and it's a worker co-op, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the 10 employees, they each they're all there. They all own 1/10 of the store. So
Mm-hmm.
they've all had to somehow pay in, whether that be like a pay reduction until they pay off their part ownership, or they actually bring forward the capital and buy a portion of the business. Okay. So now let's say that we're going to expand, right? So we have to
Okay.
expand our business. We have to hire more people to expand our business. So we're hiring person number 11. Now there's a few core problems here. One of them is that that person now comes in and dilutes our power. So now, we each have 1/10 of the vote. Now we have 1/11 of the vote. So we've actually lost a bit. Every time we hire someone, each individual loses a bit of power. And so people are actually incentivized not to expand their businesses because they don't want to lose the power that they have. Um, so that can be a problem. Like if your business needs 100 more people, it's like, well, shit. Like, how much more diluted is my
If you
power going
need
to be?
if you need the people though, you're gonna have to hire them either way. Because if the business sinks because you don't do that, that's on all of you.
I mean, that's true. That is true. However, that has to be enforced by some sort of government standard. Because now you're saying, well, you need to do it anyway, so you have to do it this way. And it's like, well, I could not do it this way. I could just hire people like we do now, right?
Well, yeah,
And that
there's
would and
there's
that would
some
solve this
ways in
problem.
which the government has to be involved in any economic system, unless
Okay.
unless someone was to think like anarcho-capitalism is
Right.
actually going to work, which I'd hope. I'm pretty sure you'd agree that's bullshit. Never going to work.
I don't think any anarchism works, frankly. No, none of them work for
I
me.
mean, I
Absolutely
don't
not.
identify as an anarchist, so
Mhm.
that's fine. Yeah.
So okay, so we have to hire more people that dilutes the power. So the people who are currently at the workplace are disincentivized from hiring more people. They still have to, but now it's working against their interests to do so. Okay, so now let's say what we have to do is to expand our business. It's not hire people, but let's say we have to get a second location. Okay, so we
Hmm.
have our all of our money is being divided up equally. We all have an equal amount of say in how the company runs. But now we need to go and buy a second building because we're expanding to like a second shop or something. And this building is going to cost another $100,000. So how do we get that $100,000? I mean, if you're an individual worker who can vote on where money goes, you're not going to vote to take money away from yourself to buy another building for the business. You're going to no, you want you
Wouldn't you do loans?
Okay, so you could do loans. That's one way you could do it. But now what you've basically done is you've replicated the capitalist structure, but now instead of a boss scraping the profit off the top, you have the bank scraping the profit off the top in terms of interest.
I mean, there has to
Because
be regulations on the bank then.
oh sure, it has to be sure, but
Yeah,
still though,
yeah.
now you have a system where okay, your company now has to reduce everyone's pay so that we can pay off the bank for our loan to buy the second location. And the bank's going to want interest because why would you give out loans if you're not going to get something out of it? So you need to have some kind of interest structure there. So now the bank, you've completely replicated the normal capitalist way of doing things, but now the bank is the one that controls what's going on, not say a boss who owns the company. Because here's the thing: if your business starts falling apart and you can't pay back your loans, the bank's going to come in and take it because that's the collateral, right? So it seems to be the case that this will necessarily return to some form of more traditional style of capitalism. Just that we've now taken away people's ability to actually own their own stuff individually. Now it's banks who own it.
Okay, I guess I just don't have a direct response to that right now.
Okay, fair enough. Like, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
if it's a new idea, you
To
have
be
to think
to
about things
to
all the
to
time. Yeah.
to be fair, like a lot of this is kind of hypothetical. Like we're like I said earlier in this conversation, I don't have like direct answers to this because I mainly do just push for social democracy. I do think like different forms of democracy, including in the workplace, is an important thing to push for. I guess we just have to like start getting more data on it.
Sure. See here,
Yeah,
like
we are
I'm
a
not
little limited
against.
on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not against the idea of a social safety net. I'm not even
Mhm.
against the idea of people creating worker co-ops if that's what they want to do. Or like even if let's say you want to own your own business, but you're gonna like actually sit down with your employees and say, listen, I really like you guys. I'm gonna tie your wages directly to company profitability. I'm gonna come here and talk to you about what we should do next, but I'm still gonna own the business. If you want to like run things in that kind of man, I'm fine with
Right,
all of that. I'm fine with all of
right.
that. But I think the problem is when you come in and you say businesses must be worker co-ops. That's when I think you start seeing a lot of these other
So
problems that start popping up.
right now, what I'm in favor of is I think the government should incentivize banks to lend out more loans to worker cooperatives in order to get some more data. I think that's like the number one thing I want to see right now because we do know that banks do have somewhat of a bias against worker cooperatives, despite there being at least some promising preliminary data on them.
Well, the I think the problem with the reason why banks don't do it. Well, actually, there's two things I can say here. I'll say this one first.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is the reason why banks don't do it is because having too many people on a loan makes the loan riskier. So, for example, like if your business fails, like here, like let's say that we do what you mentioned, right? You get hired on at a business. Your paycheck is garnished to pay for your buy-in to the business until you finally own a portion of the business, okay? And now
Mm-hmm.
the business fails. So each of you have a portion of that debt to pay off of the business loan. So now you're out of a job and you have this debt you have to pay. Like that's a massive extra risk that a regular employee wouldn't have to take on. A regular employee, oh, the business fails, I got to go find another job. Like it's much
Wouldn't that
easier.
be part of the reason to also have the social safety nets though, just in case that were to happen?
I mean, yes, but I'm sure we both agree that governments shouldn't just be bailing out businesses constantly, right?
Oh, sure.
That's what would happen here, though, because the business becomes every single person who works in it. So now suddenly the government has to bail out everyone.
You all have a collective incentive though for that to not happen.
Yes, but just because you have a collective incentive for it to not happen doesn't mean that it won't happen.
Oh, sure, but when people would start to learn more about how to prevent that from happening if they start to have stakes into the company.
They might, or they might not give a shit and they might just take what they can and run, because people do that now. Like
Well,
there
yeah, but our
is
system's completely different right now.
yeah, but it wouldn't be that different if it's a market socialist system. Like there's still a need for transitory jobs that you do for a short period of time while you try to maneuver into a different position in your life. I don't care about this workplace. I just got to work here 3 months, get some money, pay some bills. I don't fucking care about any of these people. I don't care about the politics of the business. I just need money. I just got to get some short term money and leave. Happens all the time. If you're a student, if you're traveling, whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
So
that would happen so much less if you had stake in the company.
well, no. What I'm saying is we don't want it to happen less. That's a necessary part of life, is to have that type of employment, and you would necessarily do away with it with this system. So like, let's say here's a great example. A person who was this is a friend of a friend. He worked for some kind of airplane or aerospace or something. He was a very highly intelligent engineer. Um, However, he had to move back to his hometown to care for his brother who was dying of some kind of terminal illness. So he moves back and he gets a job at a garage, just fixing cars, fixing motorbikes, And his
Mhm.
expertise meant that he was vastly overqualified for this job. But he made it clear to the owner, it's like, listen, I'm only here until my brother dies. Then I'm out of here and I'm going back to my career. And he worked there for about a year. He took as much money as he could, and the minute his brother died, he put in his 2 weeks and he left. So this person is not suited to be bought into some kind of ownership structure. His circumstance specifically means that he can't, like, it would be worse for him to be part of that kind of
Well,
market socialist economy.
couldn't contracting still exist though under market socialism? You could just
If
do like
that
a contracting deal.
Right. So now at this point though, you've recreated the employment structure just with individual contracts. So why would anybody ever hire people? They just contract everything.
Um, I mean, I guess it depends on what it's for.
Does it though?
I mean, you're talking specifically about you said like working on cars and whatnot.
Well, sure, but like, okay, let's
Yeah,
say that I own the
you're not going
garage.
to contract someone to work at like McDonald's or something,
Why not?
because
I
that would
mean,
be a worker cooperative. That again,
but
certain things lend themselves better to contracting.
okay, but like,
Oh,
okay,
also real quick, I'm giving like a 5 minute heads up. I
okay,
went a
I'm
little
sorry,
over
dude.
my
I'm
time.
sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry
no,
about
you're
that.
good.
I'm sorry. I'm
I
sorry.
actually enjoy the conversation.
Okay.
I
I,
like
I,
having to think. Yeah.
okay, see, we'll wrap this one point up then really quickly.
Hmm.
So if that's the case, are you saying that certain industries not would have to be worker cooperatives? Like you, so for example, you couldn't run a McDonald's with only contract workers.
Yeah, yeah. You'd
Okay,
want that to be a worker cooperative.
right. So why would some industries work better as worker co-ops and some not? Like why wouldn't you want people working in a garage to also own the garage?
Um, I don't know. I guess it would kind of have to be like a feeling argument that I'd have to give right now because I don't have like a opinion thought out on this one.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
It just seems to me that there's actually not much difference between workplaces. Like there's difference in what job you're doing, obviously, but like in terms of the structure of the workplace, there's no reason that any
Um,
workplace couldn't be
could I give an
a
example real
completely
quick?
completely run by a contract. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like being a YouTuber, right? Like
Yeah.
if you were to be like an editor or something. Let's say I was your editor.
Hmm.
I don't really think that would have to be a cooperative. I don't
Why?
think there's like there's not like this great deal of coercion in the same way that there are with more standard businesses.
Well, what do you mean? Like if you need this job to survive, that's coercive, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's it's just more of like a contract type deal from what we have now. Like things that are contracted now don't tend to be as coercive, at least in my opinion, as more standard businesses
Okay, so if
where
we
you have the
made
boss and like 10 levels of hierarchy basically,
so
and you don't get paid. You get paid like a 50th of what the boss gets or less. Like I don't know.
so if we just made every single business contract based, would that be better in your mind?
No, some businesses don't work like that.
What doesn't work like that?
I mean, I know we mentioned McDonald's earlier. That sure shit wouldn't work as a contracting job. There's no shot.
Okay, but
That would be
what's the
something you
difference
want to have a
between?
vested interest in. It takes a long time to, or at least a decent bit. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't understand why you'd want a vested interest in the McDonald's more than you'd want a vested interest in my channel if you were working for me. Like they're both your places of employment. They're both what
I
brings the
think
money in.
being an editor is something you could just like be an editor for one person, then shift to another real quickly.
Well, sure, but like
Whereas
you
it's a
could
lot
work
more
at
of a
a.
long-term
Sorry, go on.
investment with McDonald's. You have to get your uniform, you got to go through, special training. There's all types of stuff like that. With an editor, that's just like a skill you have.
Well, sure, but like you could work at a McDonald's and then turn around and then go work for Arby's and be like, "Oh, I learned how to do most of the stuff already. I know how to like make fries. I know how to grill burgers." Like you can still transfer skills from McDonald's out of their workplaces.
Some of them, they still require you to go through a decent deal of training though.
Well, sure, but I just don't think that this changes the argument that much. I mean, if the distinction is you need more, if a workplace requires more training,
If
then it should be a worker co-op, and if it requires less training.
if contracting could work for every business, then maybe I consider that. I guess I just have to ask you, like, how would you work contracting into like an Arby's?
Well, the way that
Like we
contractors,
know we know we
so
know contracting can work with like being an editor, for example.
so I've been a contractor for not for Arby's, but for other companies, and
Yeah.
basically the idea of a contractor is just that
Oh,
you're you're
real quick. By contractor, I mean like for the more standard. Where I know that Arby's probably has contractors for different things. I'm talking about like specifically an Arby's worker,
right.
like who
So
flips the burgers or whatever.
yeah, so I mean, a contractor is somebody who basically just works for themselves and then contracts their services to other people who want them, right? So like it would probably work very similarly. It's like you come in, you're like, okay, you're the owner of the Arby's and I'm the contract worker. I come in and I say, okay, well, if you want my employment, these are the days that I'm available, and these are the hours that I can work, and here's approximately what I would like. And it's just a more independent way of negotiating rather than say through like on some it sounds very strange, but like on some level, not all non-unionized employees are contract workers. Like it wouldn't be much different than the way it is now.
Sort of, depending on how you stretch the definition, though.
Well, what's the difference? Like if you're working at a non-unionized Arby's,
Hmm.
what's the difference between you and a contract worker working at an Arby's?
Um, you have enough. You have this level of hierarchy that I. There's just this level of hierarchy that's missing from contracting, like jobs that you specifically, consider for um, contracting, like being an editor or whatever.
Well, yeah,
There's
but
so
like
many levels of hierarchy
let
involved
let,
in like Arby's.
let
You're
let's
almost working directly, almost with the person if you're doing like contracting for being an editor.
mhm. Like if you were my editor and you made a video that I really didn't like, I'd be like, listen, you can't put that out. Like that's like, I'm still the boss in a sense. I still direct what you do.
Yeah, you can negotiate super well though if you're a contractor. You can't really do that if you're working at an Arby's.
Um, if you're a contractor in Arby's, you can still be like, listen, I'm gonna walk. If you want me to do this stupid thing, boss, I'm just gonna go work somewhere else. But it's kind of funny because like this is like the ANCAP argument for contracting that I'm kind of hearing from you. I don't know if you know that. It's kind of funny. I'm not
Mm,
insulting you. It's just like this is
yeah,
not this is stuff that like ANCAP
I've,
say that I've noticed.
ANCAPs have so many like failings in terms of what they think would work. Like, oh, we can't regulate this or regulate that. That I would very strongly disagree with.
Yeah, I don't
There
agree
might
with
be
that,
some
but like
there might be some incredibly niche ways in which I agree with them.
it's kind of
But
funny.
I mean,
Like,
I guess I'd argue that you would too, though. Like anyone would.
oh
There's
sure,
no there's
sure.
no ideology that you disagree with 1 trillion%. You might
Um,
you might disagree with them 99.9%.
I actually think that ANCAPs have probably the most rock solid argument against the whole decommodification, moneyless, stateless, classless communist society. They have the best argument I've ever seen against it, and it's actually pretty solid.
What's that?
Um, Even if you live in a world where there is no, um, um, not deprivation, it's when there's an infinite amount of goods. What's it called?
A surplus of goods?
No, an infinite amount.
Oh, infinite amount.
Where there's no
Um,
more, what am I thinking of? What's the word? Um,
man, you have me in a position to where like I feel like I should know it too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what's it called? What's it called?
Come on, chat, help him out. What the fuck?
I can't think of it now. It's post scarcity. That's it.
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
even if you live in a post scarcity society, and so therefore property doesn't matter anymore. Like it doesn't matter if that's your car because there's an infinite number of cars. Just go get one. It doesn't matter if that's your food. There's an infinite amount of food. Just go get whatever you want. Like everyone
Mhm.
owns everything collectively, and there's an infinite amount of stuff, so you never have to worry about anything ever again. Even in that world, you still need some kind of conception of exclusivity. Let's say because there are still going to be some things that are finite. Your body is finite and your time is finite. So, if
Well, sure, you'd have to work to produce those in the first place.
well,
So the
yes,
people
yes,
that
but
work would still see, yeah.
like if somebody wants to do something with your body or to have your attention for some period of time, they have to offer you something in return for that. And so you have to have some idea that even though all of this material stuff is not owned by anyone, it's held in communion by the entire human race, there's still going to be some areas where things are yours and not anyone else's. And that's going to be your body and your time. And within that domain, you have to be able to say no to everyone else. It doesn't matter if everyone else wants your body, they can't have it. It's yours. So even in the most ideal circumstance for an actual stateless, moneyless, classless communism, there has to still be the concept of exclusivity. And from exclusivity, you get concepts like trade. Because if I have something that you want, let's say my body, yet you have to give me something that I want. It might be your body. Maybe we have sex. It might be something else. So
You
there's
could do that without currency, though.
sure, of course, without currency, yeah. But the idea is that once you bring trade back into it, now suddenly you're going to start you're going to start reforming the basis of a capitalist system. And I think things will just rebuild from there. And that seems to be their argument: is that even if you wave a magic wand and you have, all the material conditions are satisfied, you're still going to have some bits of capitalism in there, just because people like to have things exclusively, and because now we can extend it out.
You can have markets. You can have markets without capitalism.
Maybe not. So for example, let's say I have
I do appreciate the thought.
Okay,
You can
you have to go?
this point.
Okay, do you have to go, or I'm really sorry, man.
first
I'm
of all,
really sorry. I'm really sorry.
No, I have somewhere to be, but I have
Okay.
to use the bathroom so bad. It's
Okay,
okay.
okay.
You can take a
Yeah.
minute and
I'll
whatever you gotta do.
I'll quickly very finish. Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's say I have my favorite mug, right? And you can buy this mass-produced mug anywhere you want, but this one's my favorite because it's mine. I've had this specific one. So even though you can replace, you can replicate the material reality, you can swap in the material conditions. In this post-scarcity society, everything becomes replaceable. Everything can just be changed out because it's infinite of everything. But despite that, there's an emotional connection to this specific mug that can't be replaced. So when the communist says, "Oh, your mug broke, just go get another one," there's an infinite stack of mugs over there because we're in a post-scarcity society. That doesn't solve what I'm actually looking to get, because there's an emotional connection there that can't be solved it can't be accounted for through material conditions.
You have like a metaphysical connection to this particular item.
Yes. So
Yeah.
it just
this is another thing we did discuss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it just seems like there's always going to be a trend towards some type of capitalism, some type of exclusive ownership, even in the most prosperous post-scarcity societies. So I just don't think that this sort of thing will actually work in reality.
Hey, again, I don't want to run. I don't want to seem like a
No, I
it
understand.
it has been 2 hours.
And we can do it again sometime if you want.
Yeah, I do appreciate it. I really like that the Twitter convo we had. I didn't expect to get on stream today, but
Oh, okay.
yeah,
See, we were talking earlier. Like I was under the impression you wanted to do this whole time, and this morning you're like,
my whole issue is like the reason I was fine doing it Twitter DMs is I don't want to be like a clout shark or whatever.
Well, I mean, you're not looking to become a streamer, are you, or like anything like that?
I mean, it sounds fun. It's just not something I could realistically do right now.
It is. I wouldn't say hard, but it can be draining sometimes. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Listen, just having this convo after about the hour and a half, my brain started being like,
No, I understand.
Sometimes that just happens to me. But I mean, I know I just said I don't want to be a cloud shark. Can I shout myself out though?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm gonna start with my Twitter. It's Jeffrost31, GEOFF.
Let's see if I can get it. I'll post it in the chat.
And then ROST31. Funny enough, that came from when I know we were talking about Pokemon Go earlier. When I first started playing it, it asked for a name, so I put my real name. It's like, oh, you need a username. I'm like, okay, what word starts with an F? Okay, not that one. Okay, how about Frost? Okay. So I went with that. Yeah. My girlfriend at the time knew I was super into Pokemon. It was 3 days after it came out, so I'm like, okay, I'll try playing it. Played a good bit in 2016, 2017, and I got back into it in 2020, and actually I'm so much more fit than I was a few years ago. Holy shit, it's not even close.
I'm still a fat guy. I mean, it's in my name. I can't have to be fat now.
Listen. I appreciate the honesty in your name. Also, Shady Lightning on YouTube. I don't really use it. I have some video game clips, but
Yeah, I looked it up.
yeah,
There's like stuff from like 5 years ago on there, just like
yeah,
old gameplay. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's more of a
yeah.
personal YouTube. That's fine.
There's some like cool ass clips that I lost once because I fucking broke my cat stepped on my flash drive and it snapped, and I was so sad about it. But some of my favorite clips are up there.
All right, man. Well, I posted your link in the YouTube chat. All right, if you want to
Oh
talk
yeah,
again, we'll figure it out. Okay.
yeah. I actually really do appreciate this.
Yeah, no
I'm
problem.
gonna have my resident vibe checker tell me what I did right and wrong.
Oh,
They're pretty
real quick
they're
before
pretty
you go,
brutal. Yeah,
real quick before you go.
yeah.
So what political ideology do you peg me as then? I assume I'm not a fascist, as Vosh would say.
Um, probably just liberal.
Yeah, that's how I view
That's what I
myself too.
get.
I'm very centrist. Yeah.
That's what I get from you. Like a more like standard like center leaning lib type.
Yep. Yep. That's how I view
Yeah,
myself too. Yeah.
yeah. I want to be good faith. I don't want to just be like, oh, you're everything I hate. I think we do actually agree on a decent bit at least. So
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
mhm.
Honestly,
Well, hey,
I don't find soc dem positions that bad, to be honest. Like, they have a lot of good intentions, and I think even if they're wrong about a few things, because they are wrong about a few things, you can work with good intentions, I think. So
well, hey, I
that's
didn't read your chat at all. Hopefully they were nice enough to me.
oh, dude, my chat is full of like, it's just full of fucking retards. All right, I love them. They're
Uh,
my bunch, but they're all retarded.
yeah, whenever we initially had that little spat on Twitter, some of the people tweeting at me were posting some pretty insane shit.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, like I get the idea. Like your fans, some of them are like really stupid, but like you have like pretty nuanced. Not all your fans. I love you guys, but I guess they probably say the same thing about me though. So
Mm.
ditto, I guess. I love and hate you guys. So.
All
All right,
right,
well, hey
man.
man,
Yeah.
I'd love to do it some other time. I do
Sure.
appreciate the combo. Hmm.
Sure.
Will
I'll
you
see
have
you
this
later.
posted on YouTube by any chance?
Yep, it'll be up. No problem.
Okay. Is it going to be a stream link or just like a individual video?
It'll be a stream. I can post to you after. That's fine.
Yeah, just send me the link on Twitter. Again, I want to have my resident vibe check. They always are really brutal with me, and I do appreciate that. So.
Sure thing, man. All right, I'll
Yeah,
talk to you later, dude.
yeah. Take care. Bye bye.
Okay, bye. Listen to this absolute soy cuck motherfucker. Okay, guys, how's it going? What's up? Let's see. I actually have to get going because I'm actually making a video on abortion. I was going to release it today, but I did this instead. So I'm going to go and edit that real quick. So I'm going to read the super chats, and I'll get out of here and go make the video. Also, the low brain cell squad. That's a good name. You guys are great. Thanks for being here, chat. I appreciate you quite a bit. Here, I'll read the supers, and then I'll get out of here and make the video. Todd Sullivan for $2. Thanks, Dev. No problem, dude. Oversized Trash Panda for $10. Building a moral system around the reduction of hierarchy is like building a rocket around the reduction of gravity. Nice idea, but we're constrained by reality that forbids it. I don't even think it's a nice idea. I think hierarchy is actually pretty good. There are bad hierarchies, but it doesn't mean you have to get rid of all of them. I think hierarchy is pretty good. Stug for 5. Stug for 10, actually. Clarence Thomas has said nothing about banning anything. He wants to apply the law as written. You may be skeptical of his motivations. That's what he said. And to that point, if Thomas wanted to ban abortion, he would have at some point argued they are strictly unconstitutional. Yeah, I've been reading more Supreme Court like writings since the whole Roe v. Wade thing, and I've realized like they're very measured, much more so than like the media reports on them. They're like, well, here's what we think, and here's the precedent, and here's this court case that says this, and here, like, they're very much like they ground out their arguments in like 50,000 different fucking points, and that's important. It's not like Clarence Thomas is sitting there and he's like, I can't wait for all of those gay people to go back in the closet. Like, he's not doing that. I don't think. I don't think that's correct. Oversized Trash Panda, $5. Dev thinks everyone is a deontologist because he uses the wrong definition of the word deontologist. It is too broad and encompasses all morality. No, I'm correct. Thank you for the $5, though. Trash Panda, $10. 80% of trans kids grow out of dysphoria because of puberty. So blockers help 20% of kids, but subject 80% to permanent medical expenses for a temporary problem. You will have to send me a source on those stats. I'd be interested in seeing it. Thank you. Wolfsbane for $2. J Mac is a pimp, my friend. Just ask Adam and Sitch. I have seen J Mac's big. I have seen J Mac throwing the dollars around on Adam and Sitch. He's a good guy. Thank you very much for that donation, by the way. 10 PLNs from Jano Sixus. You're not a doomer, just entropy over time. Yeah, basically, I believe that entropy also applies to politics in a sense. Things collapse and need to be refreshed on a regular basis. That's just normal, I think. The Fisher Next Door, $2. What's your thoughts on the YouTuber Mentis Wave? I have no idea who Mentis Wave is. Sorry. I am wrong for $2. You should ask Shade about consent in a socialist system. We kind of got there in the end. Kind of got there. See you later, Yiz. Thanks for being here. Brett for $5. Command and Conquer 4 stream. Command and Conquer. Jesus, didn't that series go to shit? And that's all of them. I gotta go, guys. I have to go basically edit. I only have a few more hours to finish this. I'll see you maybe tonight on Game Booth.